fire chief is here to monitor how the people.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. So nice to see everybody. So if I could have everyone's attention. Good evening, everyone. Hi. I know it's a beautiful night, and for those who are watching us from home, whether it be on television or live on Facebook, we have a packed house tonight because we have some really great things that we are going to be acknowledging and celebrating. And so with that, I will call the meeting to order. Today is Monday, July 13th, 2026, and it's a little after 7 o'clock, and I will ask our clerk to please read the open public meeting statement into the record.
This meeting was called pursuant to the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act. Notice of this meeting was sent to the Union County local source, Union, New Jersey, the Courier News, Bridgewater, New Jersey, the Home News Tribune, Woodbridge, New Jersey, MyCentralJersey.com, the Star Ledger, Newark, New Jersey, the Leader, Westfield, New Jersey, and the Alternate Press, tapinto.net. In addition, the notice was posted on the Borough of Fanwood website, www.fanwoodnj.org. Copies of said notice were posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building and filed in the office of the Borough Clerk. Notices on the bulletin board have remained continuously posted. Proper notice having been given, the Borough Clerk is directed to include this statement in the minutes of this meeting.
Okay, thank you. So for those who are in the audience, we're going to stand for the pledge and then a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And I would ask that you remain standing for a moment of silence, that we keep our first responders in our thoughts and in our prayers. And tonight, we will be recognizing, celebrating those very individuals that make our community what it is, which is a safe community. It is the difference of who shows up for you in a moment of terror, and how you feel after you get the care that Fanwood gives you here in those situations. So for that, we will give thanks and protection always over our first responders. Thank you. We'll start off with a roll call, please.
Council President Gina Berry.
Present.
Jeffrey Banks.
Present.
Anthony Carter.
Present.
Erin McElroy Barker.
Here.
Catherine Mitchell.
Here.
Patricia Walsh.
Here.
Mayor Marr.
Present. All right, so again, welcome. And so we're going to begin the meeting with some proclamations, some presentations, and overall some acknowledgments of job well done. The first one, I'm going to ask Councilwoman Erin McElroy Barker to please go to the podium, because we are going to be celebrating and recognizing our Scotch Plains Fanwood High School boys volleyball team, who were Group 3 state title winners. And Erin, as a mother of a volleyball player herself, understands the importance of the program and the excitement of the program, and so she will be reading the citation into the record, but if you want to call forward those that are here for you.
I see a couple, but can all of the volleyball players who are present and the coaches, if you're here, I'm not sure if there's any coaches here, sorry, I had a different one, come up. Any parents that want to come, come.
Yes,
please. Come forward. Come
you got a nice audience tonight.
Guys, okay, they're all actually quite a bit bigger than 2 years ago, so in here, there you go. I'm a little jealous. My son graduated in June of 24, and a couple of you guys were on the team, and we nearly made it, and we didn't, but this year you guys did, so congratulations. It's very exciting. So whereas the Scotch Plains Fanwood High School boys varsity volleyball team faced extraordinary challenges at the outset of the 2026 season, yet demonstrated resilience, unity, and determination that define true champions. Whereas the Raiders embraced a culture built on unity, strategy, and discipline on the court and off, rising to meet every challenge with purpose and accountability, whereas the Raiders competed throughout the season on a demanding schedule, claimed the North 3 sectional championship, and advanced to the NJSIAA Group 3 state championship final, and finally the Old Bridge, I just added that. Whereas the Scotch Plains Fanwood Raiders crowned their season with a dominant 3-0 victory over West Windsor Plainsboro South, claiming the NJSIAA Group 3 state championship, the second state title in program history, through disciplined blocking, precision serving, and a balanced team offense. Whereas the achievements of this team reflect not only athletic excellence, but also the values of sportsmanship, perseverance, and community pride that the Borough of Fanwood holds dear. Whereas the entire community of Fanwood takes great pride in the accomplishments of these student athletes, whose dedication to their craft and to one another serves as an inspiration to all. Now therefore be it resolved that the Mayor and Borough Council of the Borough of Fanwood, Union County, New Jersey, do hereby honor and congratulate the Scotch Plains Fanwood High School boys varsity team, its coaches, and all who supported this team on their outstanding achievement as the 2026 NJSIAA Group 3 state champions. I don't know if the coaches want to say anything.
I have a little something prepared.
Okay.
It's short. I couldn't be more proud of what this team has accomplished. While our season was filled with championships and individual milestones, what I'm most proud of is the character, commitment, resilience that these young men displayed every day. They represented our school and our community with class, integrity, and pride. I'd also like to thank our assistant coaches, athletic department, and administration our families, and everyone who supported us throughout this season. Your encouragement played a tremendous role in our success. These young men dedicated countless hours to becoming the best version of themselves, and it's my privilege to recognize what they have accomplished during this historic season. With a winning record of 25-3, the accomplishments of the 2026 Scotch Plains Fanwood Boys Varsity Volleyball team are as follows. 2026 NJ.com Boys Varsity Volleyball Team of the Year. 2026 #1 team overall in the state of New Jersey, first time in the school's history. 2026 Group 3 state champions. 2026 Group 3 state sectional champions. 2026 Bloomfield Boys Varsity Invitational champions. 2026 Old Bridge Knights Invitational champions. Brody Balestrino, junior setter, all Group 3 second team. Union County Conference all Watchung Division first team. 1,000 assists milestone met during this season. Brandon Indo, all state third team. All Group 3 first team. All Union County, all Watchung Division first team. 500 plus kill milestone met during this season. Daniel Ennis, senior outside hitter, 2026 NJ.com Boys Volleyball Player of the Year. American Volleyball Coaches Association, Best and Brightest First Team of the Year. All-State First Team, Union County Conference All Watchung Division First Team. 1,000 kill milestone met during this season. All-time SPF kill record holder with 1,085 kills. Congratulations to all of these outstanding athletes. Truly, as a coach, the time that these athletes and parents dedicate to us, we know it could be spent playing video games. We know you have missed a lot of parties. We understand and we appreciate you. Thank you for allowing me the privilege of this being the first time that I'm coaching boys volleyball. And I've been coaching 13 years, but first time coaching boys. It'll be a first season I will never forget. Thank you again for honoring us and recognizing us tonight. And thank you for supporting this program. We want to change the way Scotch Plains looks at volleyball because it's here and it's staying and it's going to be big for a long time. Please join me in giving these young men a loud and amazing round of applause. I'm going to go this way. Yeah.
Boys, have a great summer.
Let's go. We can take pictures of individuals. You want me to go first?
Okay. So many exciting things tonight. Okay, so the highlight of our meeting tonight, as hopefully most of you who are here know, and we did turn the air up, so, is that we are making a captain. And we are very excited, and we're very grateful that everybody joined us. So my name is Erin McElroy Barker. I've been on council for a long time, 10 and a half years, and I have been chair of public safety for a year and a half. It is my pleasure today to witness the swearing in of Dan Krantz as the captain of the Fanwood Police Department. We started this journey a year and a half ago, and more firmly establish consistent leadership in our department and support our officers. Thankfully, we have arrived here today, finally, and I am thrilled that Dan will be our captain. When I joined public safety 4 years ago, our department had recently suffered the loss of most of our upper leadership, and there was a tremendous amount of uncertainty. Out of necessity, Officer Krantz was promoted not once, but twice in the last several years, and he has risen to all of the challenges we have presented him with, which have been many. He willingly took on new responsibilities and made it his business to learn under both the county leadership and our previous police director, taking every opportunity for growth that was presented to him. He has also invested time in teaching our younger generation what it means to be a police officer. Dan quickly became a strong leader within the department and was made OIC when Director Bramhall left. When I took over as chair of public safety in January of 25, I knew I had large shoes to fill from Councilwoman Walsh, but Dan made it easy. Since my first day as chair, he has made himself available, teaching me what I needed to learn to support him and the department. One of our first priorities was to establish the captain position and promote a captain to lead our young department. This has been critical as we have many new and young officers, and we have often operated with lower numbers than in the past. Since Dan took over as acting officer in charge a couple years ago, he has provided that leadership, blossoming into a strong, well-respected leader who demonstrates an equally strong commitment to the department and to this community. He is open, intelligent, and accessible. He is open to feedback and works extremely well with professionals both in and outside of Fanwood. He is a great representation of our community, and he's even funny at times. I have grown to admire Dan for his intelligence, flexibility, and calm. He understands Fanwood in a way that most do not, as he grew up here. He always has the best interests of this community as a top priority and does everything he can to serve our neighbors, his officers, and the borough, despite significant constraints at times. Dan is a reliable and consistently strong presence in the department and in our town, and we have all grown to depend on him more and more. We're just waiting for him to move back to Fanwood from Hoboken, but he's refusing. So we are very proud to have him become our captain today, and we hope that you will all join as we celebrate our new captain.
So a little point of how we're going to do your swearing in. We have we're going to just make a couple remarks, and we have a resolution that we will pass, and then we will do the swearing in, and you can call up. So really, Dan, on behalf of myself and the Borough Council, and really the residents of Fanwood, we are honored to congratulate you tonight on your appointment as a captain. Your journey to this moment reflects a remarkable commitment to public service. Prior to joining the police department, you served as a telecommunications officer with the Union County and later as the United States Capitol Police Officer in their first responders unit. You have consistently demonstrated professionalism, integrity, and a dedication to protecting others. And I also know that you have a set of parents in Tom and Mary Ann who are really true civic and public servants themselves, and so you learned well at the kitchen table of giving back. Since joining the police department in 2014, you've guided us through a period of growth and modernization. As a lieutenant, you not only oversaw the critical investigations and daily operations, but you also worked to strengthen community policing. You have improved our training and expanded proactive enforcement efforts. You recently got your MBA and a graduation from the FBI National Academy, which we were proud to support doing that. You demonstrate your commitment to lifelong learning and excellence in leadership. But what stands out most is your steady presence and your genuine commitment to Fanwood. Fanwood residents they know you as a law enforcement officer, but many of us know how deeply you care. We are fortunate to have someone with your experience and your vision and your character now lead this police department. Congratulations on this promotion, and let's swear you in. Oh, yeah. Do that. Yeah, okay. So I have to move this, and then we'll get to you.
authorizing the promotion of a police officer, whereas the Borough of Fanwood finds it both necessary and appropriate to promote a police officer serving within the Fanwood Police Department to the position of captain, whereas Daniel Krantz has completed the necessary requirements for an in-grade promotion to captain, whereas the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Fanwood find that Lieutenant Daniel Krantz is a qualified candidate for promotion to captain with a salary increase pursuant to the collective negotiations agreement and rules and regulations of the Borough of Fanwood Police Department. Now therefore be it resolved that the Mayor and Council do hereby authorize Daniel Krantz's promotion to captain on July 13th, 2026 at the pay scale in accordance with the collectively negotiations agreement and the rules and regulations of the Borough of Fanwood Police Department effective July 14th, 2026. Be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be forwarded to the Borough Payroll Officer to make necessary salary adjustments. So I move that. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Let's make it official.
I, Daniel Krantz,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the same
to the same
and to the governments established in the United States
and to the governments established in the United States
and in this state,
and in this state,
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
and that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform
and justly perform
all the duties
all the duties
of the Captain of the Fanwood Police Department
of the Captain of the Fanwood Police Department
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Sign again.
I have a little speech thing
Sure,
too. That's
absolutely.
cool.
Oh, you're here. Okay, please.
All right, my turn. You know, usually for these council meetings, I usually throw something into ChatGPT and it comes out great. And for this one, I actually wrote it. It is hard. It is hard to write a speech, but here we go. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mayor Mark, Council, Jesse, Courtney, Russ, everyone that wasn't here today, everyone who played a role in this process and just plays a role in operating and running our borough to the extent that we can to the extent that we can do. I don't know. It's my ad-libbing. You know, I constantly try to be in rooms with people I don't deserve to be in. I try to surround myself with people who are more impressive than me, smarter than me, have more law enforcement experience than me. You know, I feel like I have imposter syndrome all the time. Even right now, I look at the people in this room, the chiefs to my left, you know, that have been through way more than I have professionally. And this may sound weird, but I try my hardest to be the dumbest person everywhere I go. Because those are the people that make you better. When you learn from the best, you elevate yourself exponentially. I've always lived by that. And by looking at the people in this room right now that I've surrounded myself with on a professional and a personal level, I can safely say, mission accomplished. I'm officially the dumbest person. That didn't come out exactly the way it was supposed to, but you get the point. I want to start by thanking the members of the Fanwood Police Department, both present and past, who are here. I'm honored to be part of this team we've built over the years, a team that I am so proud to be on. Every time you're on an airplane and you hit bad turbulence, you look at the flight attendants. You gauge how serious the situation is. People look for the calm flight attendant. We're looking for the anchors. When they're calm, I'm calm. If they're panicking, our anxiety skyrockets. We look for this every day in conversations, in our daily routines. In the times of stress and turbulence in our lives, we look to those in authority and say, if they're okay, I'm okay. And when you can be that person, the anchor for others, that's the sign of a leader. So my message for all the Fanwood officers here is to continue being those leaders. You don't need rank to be a leader. Frankly, I sit at a desk and answer emails most of the day at this point. You know, you are the cops that are at ground zero. You're the flight attendants, and people continue to look at you when there's turbulence. Be that calm flight attendant. I've seen every one of you do that already. And I know it's in each and every one of you. I'm here as the figurehead and to support you in whatever way I can, but you are the Fanwood Police Department. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for making my job easy most of the time. Most of the time. I want to thank my family and friends for being here. You supported me moving from New Jersey to Washington, D.C. To start a law enforcement career, and then supported me when I returned. I get texts all the time when something is happening in the news. Could be something happens to a cop in Alaska, and I get a text saying, hey, just, I saw it on the news, just thinking about you. And I really appreciate it. That truly means a lot to me. I don't take that for granted. I want to thank the Union County Police Chiefs Association to my left for their guidance and support since I've been a member. I'm in a network of dozens of experienced law enforcement leaders to help navigate this industry we're in, which always gets more complicated, never gets easier, and will never get easier. And I thank you, gentlemen, for answering my calls and calling me just periodically and saying, how can I help? And you, Chief Mazzarella, and everybody else, I really appreciate you being here and for being there for me. I want to thank my fellow alumni and instructors of the New Jersey Association of Chiefs of Police Command and Leadership Academy. Some of them are here today. I'm motivated by every class we teach together, and I will shamelessly plug the program to any agency who's thinking of sending one. It's a great program. Send your people. I want to thank my fellow FBI National Academy classmates and friends. Right there, Brian. Some others around. Once again, to agencies who've never sent anyone, do it if you can. It was the most rewarding professional experience of my career. I want to personally thank Steve Dembowski in the back, a.k.a. the Godfather, who helped guide me through this program. I look forward to continuing my role in the association and the New Jersey chapter. I want to thank Mike Bramhall, who's present, the former director of the Fanwood Police Department, for your mentorship and friendship over the years. You've taught me that a leader empowers those that he works with, and that honesty and integrity are the staples of running a police department, and that those can be taken away if not used correctly. I want to thank all the support the police department gets from the Fanwood Fire Department. Chief McCall is back there, and some of the guys. Fanwood Rescue Squad, Brian Downing's back there. Fanwood DPW, Union County EMS, Church Auto, and so many other businesses and agencies that aid our mission. I want to thank, I'm almost done, I promise. I want to thank the Fanwood residents. Some are here today. Many of you may not have known this promotion was happening, but I'm thanking you anyway. In a way, you're the most important people in this room because we are here to serve you. You're the reason we exist, so thanks for being here. I truly believe that the most important decision a person can make in their life is who you choose to partner with and share it with. And I am blessed to have found someone that has supported me from day one. Someone who understands what being a police officer's spouse is like. Holly, I love you. Thanks for being patient through the last minute dinner cancellations, the I have to work Thanksgiving conversations, and possibly a recent July 4th, hey, I have to go into work. I'm sorry. Thank you for wearing your flexible hat, as your dad always says. I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be who I am without you, and I certainly wouldn't be here. And no one here would be going to an open bar after this if it wasn't for her. So let's give her a round of applause. With all that said, this has been a very proud moment for me. I look forward to working with those in this room through times of peace, but more importantly, times of crisis and instability. None of us get through this career operating alone, and it's essential that we continue to work together, build new relationships, foster existing relationships, and always stay open to new ideas. Let's not forget that. Thank you all very much.
So, I said before how this evening is a celebration and it's also a recognition and shining a light on our first responders. And now Dan is going to help us shine a light on a situation that occurred recently here at Borough Hall, in which we had basically a life or death situation occur, a life-saving situation occur here at Borough Hall. And it just went to show you that the professionalism of our county EMS, our police department, and even our borough workers who found themselves in a position that they didn't really expect when they came to work about 2 weeks ago. And so I would like to call up the members, and Dan will talk a little bit about what happened, but we wanted to take this evening to publicly thank our first responders who literally saved a life 2 weeks ago, and to just not let that go on a course of business, and to just say that the person who wasn't feeling well at all is doing much better. So I'd like to call forward our own Brian Downing from our county EMS. We love you, Brian. Detective Lieutenant Gilmore. Detective Lieutenant Gilmore. Sergeant Picola. Detective Hudspeth. I'm going to turn it over to you, Captain, now.
So about 2 weeks ago, and I'll preface by saying I was not there. I was not at work that day. On June 23rd, early in the morning, 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning, 7:52, thank you. There was a medical emergency, a severe medical emergency in Borough Hall. For those that don't know, the police department shares a building with Borough Hall. There's a wall that separates us. And we were alerted that somebody had collapsed and that they weren't breathing. And these three officers, first accompanied by Brian Downing and Union County EMS and paramedics, did what they do, and they rushed over and they performed CPR with an AED. The AED shocked right away, and a life was saved. This is what we do. It's a little different when you know the person, I will say. But as soon as I heard about it, when I think Lieutenant Gilmore called me and said what happened, I before he even said what the final result was, I knew that it was going to be the best possible result that could be. Because whether it's these three, the guys in back, or the people that aren't here from Fanwood PD, this is what we do. We are trained in CPR and AED. We unfortunately do it more than we'd like. But I appreciate you all being here. I'm just going to read the awards, and each one gets one. I'm going to read the one with Lieutenant Gilmore, so insert your own name for this one. On June 23rd, 2026, Detective Lieutenant Ryan Gilmore, Sergeant Dan Picola, Detective Hudspeth, and responding Fanwood police officers and Union County EMS employees demonstrated exceptional life-saving action at Fanwood Borough Hall. Upon arriving at the scene of a medical emergency involving an unresponsive adult female, Detective Lieutenant Gilmore immediately initiated CPR alongside fellow officers. Through their rapid response, decisive teamwork, and the critical deployment of an AED, they successfully revived the patient and prevented a fatal outcome. Detective Lieutenant Gilmore's, Sergeant Picola, Detective Hudspeth, Brian Downing, their exemplary conduct on this date reflects the highest standards of excellence upheld by the Fanwood Police Department. Their unwavering dedication, commitment, and professionalism are a credit to their profession and the community they proudly serve. I'm sincerely grateful that you guys were working that day. I know for some of us this is not I don't want to say it's not a big deal, but this is what we do. But you guys handled it with professionalism as always, and I thank you for being there that day.
Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen. I will just put a plug in for CPR training, and also understanding that the evolution of AEDs have become so simple that it literally can talk to you and tell you what to do, and not to be afraid to lean in an emergency, because it is amazing that you don't necessarily expect something like that to happen, but when you do, you need calm and clear thinking, and the department and the men that showed up, plus the staff here, I want to just say to Jesse and to Courtney, who was right there in the office, and to Pat Hoynes, who were steady guided hands. We came through it, and we are so thankful for the community that we live in, and it also gives you an opportunity to stop sometimes in the world that we live in and really just understand the importance of your life and your family and your friends and your community, because sometimes we all move at such rapid paces that it's okay to just kind of reset of what's actually important in life, and we saw that firsthand, so thank you again. So while we have some of our audience members leaving, I also want to just take a moment to just publicly discuss the July 3rd storm that that came through Fanwood on July 3rd. There were many people that were in town, and there were many people that were not in town. And for those of us that were in town, 60% of our households went out of power. And many of those households went from Friday into Saturday, some into Sunday, into Monday, with finally the last ones coming back online on Tuesday. There was over 80-mile-an-hour winds that literally tore through Fanwood, and in some respects, this was worse for us than Sandy, just because of the amount of property damage that actually occurred. There was, so I want to thank, I still see John Picola here, who is our fire chief, but also was on the ground with Public Works and his crew that he called in. The police department, our building official who came in, because you got to remember it was July 4th weekend, and we actually had probably 8 or 9 homes that had to be visually inspected, and one unfortunately was deemed uninhabitable, and so that was very unfortunate. We also had many people that while they could stay in the homes, they received significant damage to their homes, with trees going into their homes, and so there's a lot of people that are in a lot of pain right now, and so I want to just thank the community. We tried to communicate out the best that we could. We did a lot of social media. I actually went into some of the local forums myself, because it's really important to have credible information in times of darkness, literally and figuratively, and really advocated on behalf of public service and the governor's office to really make sure that Fanwood did not get lost in the shuffle of things, because it's very easy when you have so much that goes out that you need someone that is literally reminding them of what's going on. So I want to thank all of our first responders and our staff who we all worked through the weekend. Now we're going to move on for the approval of our minutes of our meetings from July 15th, 2026. May I have a motion?
Motion. Second.
May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. I now would like to open up the meeting to the public. This is where, if you would like to come forward, except excluding ordinances that have the second reading public hearing, now would be the time. So can I have a motion to open up the meeting to the public?
So second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Anyone wish to come forward? Just state your name and address, please.
Good evening, Mayor, ladies and gentlemen of the council, Bruce Patterson, Belvedere Fanwood, and Willow Avenue Garwood, as you know.
Double residence.
Yeah, dual citizenship, I call it. But anyway, oh, by the way, yeah, you're talking about a lot of homes got hit by trees. My Fanwood Presbyterian Church
Yes, was one of them.
had a big tree, fell down, broke a roof, you know.
I know, I was there.
Oh, wait, okay, I took pictures. I mean, if you want to see pictures, I can send it to you. It's horrible. But anyway, just talking about one of the resolutions. It was 07153, which is a resolution for $3,000 for Acuity as the affordable housing agent that is on the agenda that you're going to be voting on. And I'm just wondering, the $3,000, a lot of the financial agreements through the pilots and such normally have a 2% administration fee possibly inserted to cover that cost for these agents that are here. I don't know the exact responsibilities of Acuity, but I would assume it's very similar. But they are to assure that the affordable housing process is being okay with the developers or the management companies of the high density. And one thing is they're actually supposed to review the audits. There's supposed to be an audit by law that the affordable housing development provides to this third-party Acuity. And I guess my question is, or my two questions are, one is these audits, are the public able to Oprah any of these audits that Acuity is supposed to verify? And also the $3,000, is that really just a pass-through dollar amount coming from the financial agreements, which should have some kind of administrative cost inserted into the financial agreements to pay for this third party? So those are actually the two questions.
Sure. So Acuity hasn't worked for us yet, so they're going to be hired tonight. So number one. Number two, the funding for that comes from the Affordable Housing Trust Fund that we have. So that's where the funds will come from. And then the pilots do get audited, and if you ask, I'm sure you can get a copy of them.
From the borough? Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to come forward? Seeing that there isn't anybody else, may I have a motion to close the meeting to the public? All in favor? Aye. Okay, thank you. I'm going to just go out of order. I'm going to ask Liz Jeffrey to come forward and just do a little update for us.
Good evening, everyone. Gosh, that was nice recognition tonight. I appreciated being here for that. I've known most of them a long time, especially Jane Cran. So I don't want to go back through what I presented the last time I was here, last meeting, which was basically sort of, I guess, the strategic perspective on why we do what we do as far as our redevelopment goes. But I would like to just maybe hit on a few points and then bring you some current issues that are probably new information for you. So our website is a work in progress. It's getting there. It takes a little work because, as you know, we have, small contracts in Fanwood, and we don't have devoted people full-time to do these things, but we are getting the website up and running. It does include many before and afters, and sort of what we began focusing on with the development of the downtown block near the train station, and why we chose to do what probably is the lowest density, mixed-use housing you can do with retail on the first floor, to meet our affordable housing obligations, to meet the smart growth goals of putting people living and working in your downtown, and to create and foster the creation of new retail spaces. And then, as you know, as I said last time, many properties were vacant for decades or more up and down the South Avenue, which we also wanted to sort of spur with, adding in the rehabilitation area and trying to attract investment there, which took some time after even we took our initiatives in 2015 and 2016 with the area in need of rehabilitation and other focused, promotion of trying to see that there could be continued investment in Fanwood. And we were super lucky because even though it took time, we have seen that. Even in our longtime folks, such as, the Fanwood Animal Hospital buying the property across the street and doing adaptive reuse, and then, selling his property for a small multifamily. Even the Il Sogno site that sat vacant for so long, to be, encouraging that investment and seeing it happen. Just a reminder when I go through trying to give the website people the before and after pictures, as I said the last time, it's really remarkable the amount of light industrial, even brownfields, the sort of cohesive approach that was taking, letting our people participate, such as Enchantments or the Fanwood Clipper if they wanted to, and being in the position that we are now. Well, I'll give you the big news first. So we have 5 businesses in Fanwood that have, either expanded or opened a second business in Fanwood. And in the climate of the last 15 years, that's saying a lot. It's saying a lot as to how personal our business friendly and our business outreach is, and it's saying a lot about this community, which we know. I mean, loyalty is a Fanwood, loyalty New Jersey, loyal to its sports teams, loyal to its neighbors, loyal to its businesses. But it shows, as I said before, for MIT to be successful as a pharmacy in the world of big pharmacies, and then not only be successful, but look for a place where he could land and buy and actually own his property to continue with that success, is a remarkable thing. For our Fabios, who we all love and adore, to want to make a bigger stake, to own their destiny, to own in Fanwood, to put the amount of investment that they're putting in. And then, Ron Shevlin and his wife, seizing the opportunity with new space to bring Beam Sauna to Fanwood, their second business here. And now, over the past couple weeks, I've been working with Armin Sock, the owner of Jessica's, and they have signed a lease for the old Family Investor site. And they have permit applications getting into process for a market there, kind of a specialty Mediterranean market. So it's very initial, but it's in. And I just have to say this to you, because the guy who ran Nostimos, the Mediterranean place that fit into that small teeny kitchen and made a miracle over there with the quality of food that he put on. I don't know if any of you ever were there or were able to taste that food, but he was amazing. The cook there, Petra. I went there personally multiple times, even cleaned out the back room with him and organized things to make room for how he had to adhere to compliance with health and safety regulations. And he lost it for a little while. He had other people backing him, and he was put someplace else. And he couldn't wait to come back to Fanwood. So it's that gentleman in conjunction with Armin and some others that are looking to create kind of a specialty market with homemade gelato and a bunch of probably cooked food that will be like what we had at the Mediterranean, not exactly a restaurant, but like what we had at the Mediterranean Grill. So that is very, very exciting news. It's just encouraging to see another business looking to expand or set up something new even in town. So that's the happiest thing I have to report to you tonight. And the footings and foundations are going to be going in, I want to say maybe at the beginning of next week, into the first building at the A&P site. So they've been clearing and working it and going through all the bureaucratic processes, as we've talked about for 2 years in this room. I've been giving you updates on how many entities they have to work with for their approvals. But so that's terrific news too. And I've been also getting some input just by virtue of where we are. We have commercial real estate brokers that work in our area. Silbert is a long-time commercial real estate entity that represents Fanwood Crossing, and certainly is an expert in the field in our area. And I had some correspondence with him lately, and he wanted to just pointed out to me that we're at 3% vacancy, which is almost all the time. The past decade or two of the level of vacancy that we've had compared to peer communities and neighboring communities. And they attribute it to the creation of new space, which we needed. You know, people have a hard time filling up old, defunct retail space. And we've created, and the creation of foot traffic, the daily foot traffic from people living and working downtown as to, you know, that's created this sort of robust environment. And so he was searching and asking about any other space that I was aware of, which there really isn't many. I mean, we know we have a very solid residential. We hardly ever have any vacancies. But to be consistently that way in retail, so that's what we're about right now, like 3% vacancy. And it's something that you should all be very, very proud of, because it doesn't come by accident. It came by, you know, a lot of good planning and effort. Peace site and the new market. I think that's about it.
That's great news. Yeah, thanks, Liz.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of competition for people to put their roots down when it comes to opening a business. And so when we find that people seek out Fanwood, right, to open up a second business, like they know, right? They know that this is a solid community, that people will support it, and that is a business-friendly climate, that we can work with them. And I'm just excited that that sort of dilapidated building in the back will get a facade improvement, and it will actually turn into a thriving business right next to the train station, and the parking will be ample there. And we know the food will be second to none, because you've got, you know, two guys who know what they're doing. So I look forward to seeing that come online. Thank you. Okay, moving on. We have first reading of 2 ordinances. So under Administration and Finance.
Yes. I introduced ordinance number 0-2026-07-R and request that the title be read by the clerk.
An ordinance of the Borough of Fanwood amending Chapter 153, Article 2, 153-5 of the Code of the Borough of Fanwood, County of Union, State of New Jersey, entitled Fees.
I move that ordinance number 0-2026-07-R be adopted on first reading, and if adopted, that the clerk advertise the ordinance as required by law, and that the second reading of said ordinance be held at the public hearing at Borough Hall, 75 North Martine Avenue, Fanwood, New Jersey, on
August 10th.
2026 at 7 p.m. or as soon thereafter as the matter can be heard.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Jesse, do you want to just give a high level of what this was?
Yeah, so our tax collector had recommended 2 fee updates for consideration, both of which included in this ordinance, which would result in amendment to Chapter 153 of the Borough Code. First, it establishes a $100 fee for duplicate tax sale certificates. This is standard practice amongst most municipalities and would only ever be charged to lien holders who lost a certificate, not to residents. Second, implementing a $25 in lieu of mailing fee for the tax sale process. This fee, also common among municipalities, helps offset the cost of online tax sales and actually provides delinquent taxpayers with additional notice, 2 additional mailings, making it more likely they'll respond before the sale. Scotch Plains recently did this, and they saw more people respond to the notices and reduce the number of properties that went to tax sale. And the additional revenue helps pay for the cost of running the online tax sale. And so those are the 2 main changes.
Thank you. We have a next first reading of a ordinance under public safety.
Yeah, so just briefly to describe this, Officer Krantz came to our last meeting to describe the package of changes and modifications that the police department and our engineering department are recommending. There are additional stop signs that they have requested, as well as no stopping or standing for vehicles on multiple streets that are close to schools, as well as left and right turn prohibitions, again, to provide for better traffic safety. And then speed limits across several several roads in town, primarily dropping speed limits on various roadways, including Martine, at many sections where unbeknownst to me, the speed limit changes every 5 seconds to something crazy. So this is a package of changes that was discussed by the traffic committee and agreed upon last time, that really is aimed at promoting both traffic safety and pedestrian safety near the schools, and to reduce congestion. So that's what this ordinance addresses. So this is the first reading of Ordinance 2026-08-R, Ordinance of the Borough of Fanwood, County of Union, and State of New Jersey, amending Chapter 280 of the Borough Code regarding vehicles and traffic. I read that. Sorry, I'm going to keep going. I move that Ordinance 2026-08-R be adopted on first reading, and if adopted, that the clerk advise the ordinance is required by law, and that the second reading of said ordinance be held at a public hearing, Borough Hall, 75 North Martine Avenue, Fanwood, New Jersey, on August 10th, 2026 at 7 p.m., or as soon thereafter as the matter can be heard.
Second?
Yeah.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Now we have our second reading of our public hearing of our ordinance.
There's
We
one
have-
more
we
first
have
reading.
Oh, I'm sorry.
First reading.
I'm sorry. Under Administration and Finance.
You want to explain that first?
Yes, so also something that was reviewed by our tax collector. In our ordinance establishing the sewer utility, one of the exclusions of properties that was included under the ordinance were school properties. And in reviewing state law and understanding that it's utility service fee, not a tax, municipalities, including Scotch Plains, do not exclude school properties. And so now with the LeGrand School opening this fall, to be consistent with Scotch Plains and also to follow what's allowed under the statute, this ordinance would remove schools as an accepted property under the ordinance, so that they would pay based on their sewer usage.
Thank you. Please.
Okay, thank you. I introduce ordinance number 0-2026-09-R and request that the title be read by the clerk.
An ordinance amending Chapter 242, Article 3, 242-12 of the Code of the Borough of Fanwood, County of Union, State of New Jersey, entitled Sanitary Sewers.
I move that this ordinance number 0-2026-09-R be adopted on first reading. If adopted, that the clerk advertise the ordinance as required by law, and that the second reading of said ordinance be held at the public hearing at Borough Hall, 75 North Martine Avenue, Fanwood, New Jersey, on August 10th, 2026 at 7 p.m. or as soon thereafter as the matter can be heard. Can I get a second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Now moving on to our second reading public hearing of our ordinance. Before we open it up to the public, I'd like to call forward Michael Burns, who is our tax attorney. At our last meeting where we introduced this ordinance, Mikey gave basically a presentation and an understanding of what we were doing tonight, so I thought it would be beneficial for those in the audience who were not here to just do that again.
Sure. I will apologize. I'm not going to be able to remember exactly everything that I said last time, but I will do my best to try to cover all the points that were made the last time as well. So the ordinance tonight is essentially the review that's covered under the state statute for the short-term tax abatement ordinance that the municipality has in place. Under that statute, the municipality is required to take a look back and determine whether or not the ordinance still serves a purpose and whether or not they wish to continue utilization of that ordinance. Unfortunately, when that ordinance was put into place, that requirement was never put into the actual ordinance itself. And so essentially through ministerial error, that review didn't take place when it should. That wasn't a choice by the Borough Council. It wasn't something that the council decided against doing, decided to ignore their responsibilities on. It simply wasn't placed in the ordinance. And so unless someone actually went back and looked, which eventually did happen, that review wouldn't take place. And I know that the borough put on a very nice presentation the last time about everything that the ordinance has done and the thoroughness of the review that was conducted in order to determine whether or not the short-term tax abatement still serves a function, serves a purpose. And essentially what the ordinance does now is take that information, make the determination that yes, the ordinance has served its purpose, it has a little bit more work to do, and sets an end date for when eligibility to apply for that abatement will sunset, essentially. Basically creating a self-terminating ordinance to allow the process to finish itself out. I think my understanding is that it has encouraged certain growth within the township in certain areas that needed it. It has rehabilitated certain properties, and that certain properties have applied, not been granted it because they didn't qualify under the specific standards of the ordinance. Others have, one of which is, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but one of which has gone all the way through the process, one of which is about halfway, excuse me, about halfway through the process, and one of which has just started the process of going through the abatement. The abatement itself is fairly straightforward. All that it does is the property owner, if they qualify, they will continue to pay taxes on the value of the property, the land itself, and any improvements that existed on the land prior to whatever improvements they made. And it phases in them paying the taxes on the improvements that they put into place, essentially giving them an economic incentive to invest significant sums into developing some of these properties that really needed it. The borough is essentially making up for the ministerial error of not addressing that review. I want to say about a year ago when they should have addressed that review in the first place. And essentially making the determination that, yes, we want this ordinance in place, but yes, we want it to sunset once it finishes accomplishing the tasks of the projects that were put into place in reliance on that ordinance, and give us all a way forward to then be able to enjoy the fruits of it, essentially.
Right, so tonight's ordinance makes minor changes?
Minor changes. Well, it does the statutory review. It confirms the statutory review that the ordinance is in place for a proper purpose. It changes the end date so that the ordinance itself does sunset, I believe, in 2 years.
Yeah, 24 months.
24 months, so that after that, no further applications can be submitted, reviewed, put in, and it places the effective date for the ordinance so that it is a continuous period from when it was first adopted back in 2015, so that there are no questions as to when something qualifies.
And you looked at this because you are a tax appeal attorney. You're a tax attorney by
Yes.
profession?
So outside of Fanwood,
Yeah.
I'm also the tax appeal attorney and have worked in tax appeals, I want to say, for about 10 years now, in Franklin, North Brunswick, Marlborough, Brook Township, probably 3 or 4 other towns where I've handled the bulk of their tax appeals. Had to deal with their trials, had to deal with not just valuation issues, but also some of these more esoteric issues as to where does the law apply, when does it apply, and how do we get here from the statutory interpretation. What's the intent of the statute, how has it been interpreted, and how can we move forward with it. In addition to that, I do township attorney work as well in a number of townships, dealing with implementation of ordinances, how they're supposed to be written, how they're supposed to be adopted, and how to make sure that they are viable for what the township intends to do. So
Right.
I came at this from both sides to make sure that it was being appropriately done, that it was being appropriately considered, and
Right.
that the retroactivity of this ordinance was appropriate in this circumstance. It's not always appropriate. It's not always appropriate in all circumstances. If the borough had made a choice about this, if they had declined to do so intentionally, if it was anything more than a mere ministerial error in the fulfillment of the statutory requirements and intent, then my advice would be very different.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. All right, so,
Do you want me to add any presentation?
yes, sure.
I mean, I realize that tonight, it's a second reading, and some of the things I can catch up on briefly, because they're on our website, they have been on our website. Most of this information about the redevelopment and whether it's long-term or short-term tax abatements. But I think it would be important tonight just to reiterate, because it doesn't seem to have been covered, and maybe saying it again is worthwhile, that, this tax abatement is what we call the short-term tax abatement. It was created by the state of New Jersey to help inspire, to help foster investment in areas that were experiencing vacancy, dilapidation, even in historic preservation, because it would incentivize people to make significant investment to their properties. So that's the reason that the law was created by the state of New Jersey, and you have to satisfy certain criteria in order to be eligible. And you must be located in an area in need of rehabilitation, which we established on the South Avenue corridor, not all of it, but in certain of our vacant and underutilized sites in the South Avenue corridor. We established an area in need of rehabilitation, and even after we did that and had successful track record happening in the downtown redevelopment, we still had trouble seeing some investment come forward, as I mentioned, just Il Sogno as that example. So you do have to be located in an area in need of redevelopment, and it is a tax abatement that has a term of 5 years, and you never pay less than what you were paying. It's conventionally taxed. Basically, your property continues to be conventionally taxed, so all the entities that receive the money under that taxation continue to receive that. It's administered by the tax assessor, not by the borough. It basically is an application that's given to the tax assessor. And what happens is you graduate in on the new taxes based on your new assessed value, based on the improvements that you made. So whatever your assessment went up, you graduate into that new assessment. If your assessment went from $150,000 to $1 million, then you graduate in over the course of 5 years to paying. You stay steady the first year to allow for lease up and financing stability, and then you pay 20% of the new assessed value, 40% of the new assessed value, 60%, 80%, and then 100% of your assessed value. So I just want to state it out there again, because it might be worthwhile just for the record for tonight's meeting. We have stated this before, and there is information on the website, but it is something that's created by the state of New Jersey. It has to be in an area in need of rehabilitation, and it is a graduation into your full new assessment, not a relief of any prior existing investment. So thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions, I'm happy to answer.
Thank you. Okay, so with that, I'd like to open the meeting to the public.
So moved.
Oh, let me just read the ordinance into the record. I'm sorry. So I'd like to have the second reading and the public hearing of tonight's ordinance.
I call up for second reading ordinance number 0-2026-06-S, and request the clerk having produced affidavit for publication, also read the ordinance by title.
Ordinance of the Borough of Fanwood amending and readopting Chapter 268, Taxation, Articles 1 through 17 of the Borough Code.
Okay. I move that a public hearing be held on said ordinance.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I'd like to call forward any members of the public that wish to come forward. Please state your name and address for the record. There's 5 minutes, no yielding of time, no coming back a second. So, Mr. Morris, welcome.
Gary Morris, 405 South Avenue. Out of curiosity, can I talk directly to the attorney?
Well, you have a your time. I mean, he comes through me,
Just
Mr.
chair.
Morris, you know,
All right.
as the
All right.
mayor.
I'm going to read, first of all, Liz, I'm sorry. I like you as a person. You're not correct about conventional taxation. Distributed taxation. That's not conventional when you have a massive tax abatement. It's just not. Let's not play with the words here. And you also said something that really stood out. Low density. We have no density requirements in our town. We can build anything. The Soho right now is more densely populated than Detroit. Now, I'm sorry if I'm going off, but every time you guys talk, something else comes up, and I go off script. This is interesting. I was accused of misinformation in the last meeting, and I just have to say something to that. That is hilarious. That is absolutely hilarious. We are here tonight because I found this, not the lawyer. I found it. I found it. It is your job. You are paid by our tax money to find out if this was sunsetted. You failed. You didn't do it. I did it. I have no law degree. I just researched it, okay? This is going to go across New Jersey. This is going to change New Jersey because every town is doing this garbage. I'm sorry. Now, listen to this statement, this nugget that I found not on ChatGPT. If town officials mistakenly told the developer the ordinance was active and accepted the application during the gap, the developer might sue under the doctrine of equitable estoppel. I don't know how to pronounce that. However, New Jersey courts rarely rule against municipalities on tax matters based on a town official's mistake, as developers are expected to know the law. It's the developer's responsibility too. They took way longer to build that building. If they did it on time, I could pull up Tap Into. He could pull it up for you right now. He wrote an article that was supposed to be done in 2023. Had he done it in 2023, had he finished, he would have been able to apply for it. But he didn't, did he? He was late. And you know what that did to the neighborhood? More loud noises. More loud noises. Do you know what it's like to live next to that? I know people who live next to that, and it was a nightmare. So it was supposed to be just a few years. It turned into a 5-year nightmare. Did anybody visit to talk to the poor lady that lived next door? Really? What is the deal? You can't go back in time. You know darn well that ordinances are meant for today and forward. There's only special exceptions for that. It's for health and safety and for the public good. And for the love of God, you're never going to tell me the public good was served. We don't have enough parking. What's going to happen when we open that new place, the new place that's going to be opening? Where's the parking for the post office supposed to go? What are we doing here? We allowed somebody to build a building there that does not have enough parking. It has a deficit of parking. From my estimation, they're missing 2 parking spaces. Where's the variance to grant that? What happened to the blocked fire lane that I'm told is misinformation? They suddenly changed that. Isn't that interesting? When I bring it up at a public meeting and they change the design, the fact is the design never had a dog run in it. It never did. And we allowed it to happen. Where are the variances? Who's approving it? Did somebody now approve the new thing? Why did that not come before the board? Why the heck were they not fined for blocking and obstructing a fire lane? A fire lane. Is that a good partner for our town? I don't think so. We already gave them an abatement. They had 2 more years of construction with no new taxes. No new taxes. They're paying substantially less taxes than the property that was there before. Everybody talks about, oh, the taxes don't go down. Oh, yeah, they do. When you take down buildings, they absolutely don't go down. They immediately drop. Oh, you can shake your head all you want. You can shake your head all. They went down. Are they paying? Do you think the building there before was paying more or less taxes than the Soho is paying right now? Answer that question. You can't. Now,
Mr. Morris, your
one-
time's up.
Okay, one final thing.
Your time is up, Mr. Morris.
One final thing.
Mr.
Your time is
Morris.
up,
Oh,
sir.
let me ask you, can we go back in time and change the ordinance about 5 minutes?
You
Can we do that? Can we make it 10 minutes?
You
Can we
stop
change
yelling,
all
sir, 'cause Your
ordinances?
time is up.
Can we change that ordinance too?
Thank you, Mr.
Oh, I'll be
Morris.
back at the rest of the meeting.
I'm sure you will.
Thank you, Mr. Morris.
Wow, it's a hard one to follow.
Can you please not shout at us?
Can you please not interrupt my speaking time? Okay, first, of course, we want to thank the police, the fire, the DPW, frontline heroes for all of their service and work during the recent storm and power outages. I know they left to go to the open bar, but they were awesome. Also, it's great to see Dan Krantz receive such a well-deserved promotion to captain. He's a true leader. He will always have our vote. Erin, congratulations on Duncan. We met him today. My dog is obsessed, and he's adorable. So that was delightful to see today. Okay, next. I'd like to say I heard Councilman Carter's remarks last month. I'm sorry I wasn't here for that, but I did see it. I think you owe Gary an apology. That was not cool or appropriate. Gary has been relentless in the pursuit of the truth via the OPMA process. And everyone in this community knows this. So as long as we're talking about misinformation, I'm going to roll a videotape.
Are you here to talk about the ordinance? Because that's what
I
the
am.
public meeting is. Okay.
I'm definitely here to
Thank
talk
you.
about the ordinance. Let's start by talking about the ordinance on this video.
It should be noted that the developer is not seeking any tax relief. So they're not looking for abatements, they're not looking for, any relief in that regard. So it's one of those projects that from that standpoint, it's going to be beneficial to the borough, the residents of the borough, and it allows us to, not to sound like a politician, for several years now, we've been able to pretty much hold the line on any residential, the borough portion of the taxes. We won't get into anyone else's portion, but the borough portion of the taxes. The services continue.
I heard him say there will be no tax abatement or exemption for the Soho. That's what the remarks were about in 2021. Why are they getting an abatement? I know you tried to explain that. It didn't seep through to me. Last time I asked this, you said because they applied for it. That was an unacceptable answer to a bunch of residents and taxpayers. It was an unacceptable answer to Mrs. Dowling, who lives next door, who just passed away. She has been through a lot, and she now, rest in peace, has been through too much because of this building. This building makes no sense to anyone except for this board. No sense to anyone. Does this building make sense, the Soho?
No.
Anybody
No.
think this building makes sense?
No.
Does it belong in Fanwood?
So we're going to need to have just
Okay,
a point
so,
of
all right,
order
let's go
because
back.
there is
I still
no
have, Courtney, I still have
yelling
time?
from the audience.
Courtney, how much time do I have? Okay. How much time?
2 minutes.
Okay. Okay, so we urge you to vote no on ordinance O-2026-06R, which we are the ones who told you it had expired. It doesn't serve the public. It doesn't serve the public. It doesn't serve the public. Liz, I'm so glad you brought up Nastimos because they were pushed out of our community. We're welcoming them back in, but they were pushed out because of 383 South. I know we can't talk about that because there's a lawsuit, but that's why they left. Okay? So just for clarification, I know that that was left out. That's all. Vote no. Vote for the residents.
I'd like to call forward any members of the public.
Eric Felon, Scotch Plains. So you might ask, why am I up here? I'm not a resident of Fanwood, right? Well, do you care? I do, and that's why I'm here. So as Gary mentioned and as others have mentioned, this abatement that you are provisioning hurts both towns. It hurts Scotch Plains and Fanwood. So you all know about pilots, payment in lieu of taxes, and these abatements. So money is not going to the combined town school district, and that's why I'm here fighting. So I think the estimates were over $1 million. That's not going to the school system due to these taxes. Listen, I had my house remodeled recently. It would be nice if I got a 20, 40, 50, 60 gradual increase in my taxes too. You know, my house was deplorable, if that's your terms, because it was a lot of work that needed to be done. It was dilapidated. It needed work. It needed a roof. It needed new windows. But I can't just push off my taxes like that. So why do we do this and do you want to give this to other people let's give the 20, 40, 60 or whatever rule so that we can just give them free money? I don't know who's here, what deals are being made on the side. I'm not going to make any insinuations. I do want to commend the town council, though, by the way, for what you did during the July 4th power issue. The Ritas was very nice. Did the town pay for that? Or was that donated?
I paid for it.
You paid for it? Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. So that's a nice thing. Now, I wasn't sure if that was something that the town had to pay for, but that's a nice gesture. And the town should do another nice gesture and listen to the voice of the community. Listening to the voices inside your head so that way you can keep yourselves reelected and keep yourselves up there and keep the developers or whatever it may be. I don't know what your personal agendas are, but it sounds like the town, their agenda is different than your agenda. All right? All this development, all these big buildings that we're building. Listen, Pilot was developed, I think, 50 years ago to address, yes, deplorable, dilapidated areas that were that nobody wanted to move into, that nobody wanted to develop in. We're talking about communities that are impoverished, almost like war zones. As somebody mentioned here earlier today, one of you up there mentioned that we have no vacancies anywhere, that all the apartments are rented, this and that. There's no deplorable areas in Fanwood. A piece of land you're calling deplorable just because it doesn't have a tenant? Because no, it just needs the right finance or the right person to come in. And if that right person to come in is not somebody that is for you, then who is it for? Okay, remember, you're up here for everybody else that's out there. And I don't know where you found this clown, because his confidence in what he was doing here, and I saw him up here, he has no confidence whatsoever of what he's talking about. So I pray for you guys. Thanks.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Ben Raposa, Willoughby Road, Fanwood. I spent a lot of time over the past few days reading the ordinances and the redevelopment plans and tonight's agenda because I wanted to understand what the borough is trying to accomplish, not just to react to it. The more I read, the more I realized that tonight isn't really just about one ordinance. It's about the direction of our town. Over the past 20 years, the borough has adopted redevelopment plans, amended those plans, updated the zoning map, created commercial corridor districts, changed development standards, increased affordable housing requirements, and tonight you're considering extending the borough's authority to grant commercial tax abatements. Each one of those decisions may make sense on its own, but residents don't experience them all at one time. We experience them all together. So I have a few questions that I hope the council can help residents understand. First, how do you decide when a tax abatement is actually needed? How do you know a project wouldn't move forward without one? If a developer asks for financial incentives, what does the borough require them to prove before taxpayers help make that project financially viable? These are honest questions because from a resident's perspective, we don't really see that process. Second, has the borough ever stepped back and looked at the cumulative impact of all these redevelopment decisions? Not just one building, not just one ordinance, all of them together. Have we looked at what they've meant for traffic, parking, infrastructure, municipal service, neighborhood character, and the quality of life of the people who already live here? If that analysis exists, I think the residents would appreciate seeing it. Another thing I noticed while reading the ordinance is that an applicant has to explain why an abatement is needed, identify the expected public benefits, and remain current on taxes and municipal charges. I think those are good requirements. But I'd also like to understand how the borough measures success after an agreement is approved. How do we know the public actually received what was promised? I'm asking these questions because Fanwood is changing. Some people welcome every new project, others don't. I'm somewhere in the middle. I understand that some redevelopment can be beneficial, but I also think there's a point where we need to ask whether we've reached enough. Fanwood is a small town. One of the reasons many of us chose to live here is because we feel it doesn't feel like every other town. I'd hate to lose that without first having an honest conversation about where we're headed. I'm not here tonight asking you to stop redevelopment. I'm asking you to explain it. Explain why another tax abatement is needed. Explain what residents receive in return. Explain how success will be measured. And explain how you'll know when enough redevelopment is enough. I don't think those are unreasonable questions to ask. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else like to come forward?
Hi, Laura Crawford, 119 Hunter. So I'm not anywhere near as prepared as our previous people, but I do have a question. So I want to understand the ordinance. I understand the ordinance, the purpose of it, why it's so important to draw new businesses, all of that. My question is, why do we have to make this particular ordinance retrospective? What is the town gaining from that? Or is it just the developers that are gaining that from a clerical mistake? Like, why is the town doing this? That's what I want to know. Like, what are we gaining financially from this? It seems like we're losing. Instead of just creating a new ordinance that might make more sense for the current environment, I just don't understand why we're retrospectively helping out, the developers, instead of like maybe focusing on the residents who are not getting abatements. Our taxes are going up every year, and it's frustrating because it's pushing a lot of us out. And that's really all I had to say.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to come forward?
Good evening, Mayor. I'm Bruce Patterson, Belvedere, Fanwood, and Willow Avenue, Garwood. The ordinance that comes before us. Just a little bit of fact finding that I did in the last 10 years, and this is actually back a couple of years anyway. In the last 10 years, and I think I might have mentioned this once before in front of the council, but anyway, we have encountered so many high-density projects from the Netherwoods train station all the way to the Cranford-Roselle border on South Avenue corridor, which is about 7 miles long. And I did some calculations. It turns out about that South Avenue and 1 block in both sides, it turns out that we have a high-density project every 1,500 feet. 1,500 feet. We have a high-density project. People wonder about the traffic. Well, there you go. There's your answer. Back to the Soho and this ordinance. And unfortunately, I've been tracking all the high densities in Union County and of course South Avenue corridor. But anyway, and I really didn't do a deep dive into this Soho until recently. I mean, it was on my radar, only because you come out of Mr. Nick's Pizza Parlor or Rocco's and you see this big, monstrosity overshadowing everything. But anyway, this came about. It was approved by our planning board and the council, of course, back during the COVID years. And unfortunately, during the COVID years, were people really paying attention? I mean, I hope they were, but unfortunately, looking at what came out of this Soho really makes me question it. The reason I say that is because the density that we're looking at the Soho is 90 units per acre. I know you only got about 53 units, but we're talking about 90 units an acre as you normally analyze. And to tell you the truth, in Garwood, we have a Vermella, and that was 60 units an acre. And that was a huge, dense project. And this one's 90. And one time I asked the planner, Bill Neerstad, you probably know him, and I said, how can we do 60 units an acre? That's amazing. He goes, oh, it's even higher than that over in the city of Plainfield and the city of Rawway and the city of Elizabeth. And he says, you see 60 units an acre there. Yeah, they're cities. Garwood's not a city. Neither is Fanwood. And we're looking at 90 units an acre. That is a lot. But unfortunately, it's built. And it's now occupied, obviously. So moving forward, what can we do? Well, it sounds like we can't do anything retroactive. So we have to start from day one. And the government, as Mr. Morris did say, yeah, the government makes mistakes. And, but the judge ruled that, yes, the government makes mistakes, but, that's how it is. And we've seen that before in Cranford, where the construction department allowed this guy to build an 8-foot fence, but it was illegal. So the guy actually had to take down the 8-foot fence, even though the construction department told him it was okay. Recently, Pompton Plains had a candidate that asked how many signatures should I get on my petition. They said 230. Turns out it was 250. She can't be a candidate because she didn't have enough. She sued. The judge says, nope, that's the law. It's 250. So here we are. We're looking at an error, a gap period that you approved an abatement. Obviously, we can consider this, instead of going retroactive, we can actually consider this a do-over. And you really should be doing some kind of analysis now as to really whether he needs the abatement or not now. That it's fully occupied, we have cash flow, we have revenue stream. So the question is, do we need the abatement now or not? Ms. Brink said vote no. I do agree that you should vote no, do an analysis. Whatever's in place right now, continue on until you finally come up with an analysis whether an abatement is needed or not. As to the lawyer mentioning, no, Ms. Jeffries actually mentioned that the land taxes, that we get regular assessment on the land taxes. That is true. However, I've seen a lot of pilot financial agreements where the land taxes, yes, is paid that year, but then the next year is actually deducted from the revenue stream. So that's a question I'd actually like to hear, whether the land taxes that Soho is paying is actually deducted the next year, which means they're really not paying taxes at all on that. I guess, we're just let me pick on the, yes.
Mr. Patterson, your time's up.
Time's up? All right, I have a couple other items, but inconsequential. Thank you.
Hello.
Dave Cashier, 37 Old South Avenue. The chippery is I'm facing the chippery. And so when that conversation came into play that they're going to build a huge unit over there and there's going to be no traffic problem and no parking problem, knowing that that street, Old South Avenue, has no place for cars to park as it is, just the residents. So that really boggled my mind, thinking, why is something so obvious is not realized? That's the only reason I started actually coming to these meetings. I wasn't even coming. I was thinking, everything is fine, things are working great, Fanwood is great, I'm having a great time. Once I started seeing these projects and heard about these tax abatements, I got really concerned, and I'm really concerned now about this ordinance, going back, giving the developer yet another tax abatement. So the impression that I have, the neighbors have all along Old South Avenue, is that the government of Fanwood is favoring developers over and over and over again. I wished I was wrong. I came to this meeting to find out that, oh boy, you were wrong, they were just exaggerating. That's not what I'm finding. So I would recommend voting no on this, simply to give the residents a sense that, no, we're actually on your side. So that's all I have to say. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Anyone else wish to come forward?
Shown on Montrose. Real quick, no to the abatement, just plain and simple. Everybody here that's not on that side of the room wants it to be no. Everybody on this side wants no. I don't know how much time this tax attorney can devote to Fanwood when he's representing a half a dozen or more towns. That's just, maybe that's why stuff gets missed. I don't know. Right? As regard to the improvements in the town from the businesses, I'll tell you right now, if even Fanwood Pharmacy is doing well in their new spot compared to their old spot, they're doing even a better job of taking care of their customers. The reason I go there is because I get better customer service there, even though I might be paying higher prices than if I go to the least larger chain. Mitt and the ladies take care of the people that come in the door, right? And that's important. And that's all I've got for tonight.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to come forward?
Good evening, Bud Lab and South Avenue. Congratulations to the new captain and everyone for the rewards and everything tonight. But I'm gonna steal his thing and say I'm the dumbest person in the room tonight at this point, because I've been here I'm in the town for 30 years now, and listening to the tax attorney here, I believe he said is our tax attorney, right? Some of the things that he mentioned, and also that Liz mentioned here. First of all, he called it a ministerial error, so I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but it sounds to me like when this ordinance was written in 2015 or 16, that it was designed to be sunsetted in 10 years. That's the way I read it. I mean, like I said, I am the dumbest person in the room, but it sounds to me like there was a built-in fail-safe for this to stop. And I think that, I know now tonight, what they're trying to put in a new ordinance, he said 24 months for the new one should it pass, which of course I'm against. But I think that it's designed that way, and I don't know who up here on the board was here in 2016 when it passed, but I know the mayor was the mayor, because I know I've been here for 30 years and she's been the mayor most of the time I've been here. But once again, we're not a dilapidated, rundown area that is a blight and is need of people to come move here. What did you say, we're 3% now? 3% vacancy? I mean, come on, that's not something that needs to be filled. We don't have a goal of reaching 100%. When I got involved in this 2 years ago or so and started reading things and coming to the meetings, I understand that I think it was driven partially by the low-income housing requirements, and I'm not against that at all. But I think that's what it was driven by. But now we're at the point where a few meetings back we heard a lady from the state, from that office, gave a big presentation about how we don't have any free land. We don't need to build anything new, but should we build something, then you have to have 17% of it has to be affordable housing. Once again, not against that, but I think that the point is that we don't need to go out and build this stuff. It's nice to have the businesses, it's nice to have the town, but we're not, I just think it was mentioned also, like, who people wanted this to be in place. And I don't know who that is because, like I said, everybody on this side, it was said before, I don't think anybody on this side wants that to be in place with this ordinance that you guys want to read and pass. So I think in general, I say vote no. I'd appreciate if you would think of the taxpayers because, as someone else said, I don't see the benefit to the taxpayers for all of these tax abatements other than I've got a couple new stores downtown. That doesn't help me personally. All right, so or new apartments. So thank you very much.
Anyone else wish to come forward?
They look so happy up there. I'm not going to start dancing or anything.
John Payne, 105 South Martin Avenue. 2 semesters of community college, I got kicked out, so I'm possibly the dumbest person. Last meeting, you guys said that I pay about $13,000 in property tax. 3,000-ish stays in town, 9-ish goes to the state, right? That's basically the breakdown that you guys said. They've been building down the northeast corridor from Hoboken, Jersey City, Rahway, Metuchen, Avenel, Woodbridge here. My property taxes are going up. So if you could explain to me why it's beneficial to have more money come into the town when all of our taxes keep going up. Does that make sense as a...
Yep. No, that makes sense.
Okay. Good. No.
Do you have another?
I know you guys aren't really answering questions, but
well, it's because
that's the one question that I asked.
Well, no, this is after.
What's my benefit to having more businesses in town?
And because this is the public's time, so we let you speak, and then.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I didn't know. If you were
that's okay.
All right. That's pretty much my question. So.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks for your time.
Anyone else wish to come forward?
Hi, can you hear me? Yes. I'm Gina Walsh, and I'm from 23 Birchwood Terrace. I moved here from the inner city, where I grew up, very poor. My husband and I did not have fathers, and we had to struggle to find our way because we knew, seeing all of the things that you see growing up in Jersey City, we didn't want that for our kids. So, you know, we moved here when my daughter was a baby so that she can have a wholesome environment, so that she wouldn't be exposed to the things that we were exposed to as kids. I can't even believe, though, that my taxes have gone up $3,000 in 3 years. Like, my taxes are 20 grand. 20 grand. I am a teacher. Thankfully, I work for Jersey City Public Schools, so I do well. I've been there for 31 years. I had kids late in life. So my husband and I were somewhat established. We had to work very hard to get ourselves out of poverty so that we would have the right to live in a place like this, because you have to earn your way out of that. You have to get educated. You have to work really hard when you have no parents and you grow up in the inner city so that you can afford a place for your children to live safely. I have people on my block now that are living with extended family just to afford their taxes because they have young kids. You know, so I don't think you're realizing, or maybe you do realize, growing up in Jersey City when Wall Street came over and, you know, all the tax abatements, it didn't help them either. We still had poor kids. Even with Wall Street in Jersey City, we had poor kids. Kids getting hit by cars, major traffic issues, major crime issues. I feel a little bit like Fanwood is becoming the city. I don't want to live in the city. That's why I moved here. That's why I struggled to put myself through school. My husband did the same and worked really hard and saved our money so that we wouldn't have to deal with traffic and, you know, people on our block living with 10 and 12 extended family members who we don't know crammed in. Like, these are the things that happen when you can't afford to live in your town. So we need businesses, we need that, but we need the taxes from them. You know, I can't imagine how a Scotch Plains Fanwood teacher could afford to live here. I can't afford to live here, and I'm at the top of the pay scale. Like, and they're teaching with overhead projectors. When I started teaching in 1996 or 95, our overhead projectors were obsolete. These poor teachers are teaching with very limited resources, and God help them if they actually have to live here, because my taxes go up way more each year than I actually get in an increment. So I'm losing money by living here, and we're unfortunately have to tell our kids that we may have to move. And they're school-age kids. I have a freshman and a fifth grader, and they'll be brokenhearted. But I don't really know what else to do at this point. We're putting ourselves into debt when we should be looking forward to our retirement after 30 years of work. You know what I'm saying? But that's all I wanted to say. I would say no to the ordinance.
Anybody else? Anybody else? All right, so with that, can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so a couple things. One, I want to thank you all for coming out tonight and to talk to us. I think that's very important. I think it's very important that we do hear from you. New Jersey has an affordability crisis, right? Like, so I understand, right? I'm a single mother with 3 boys, and I'm the sole provider, and I live in a house in Fanwood, right? And I take care of everything, and I watch my taxes go up, up, and up. We control 25% of your tax bill. So I just need you to keep that in mind when I hear your anger and your frustration, because I have it too. We know what the schools are. We know what the county is. We know what the county open space is. I will stand sort of firm and say for what stays here in Fanwood, I feel that we provide the level of services that you expect and deserve, and when we falter and when something doesn't go right, we try to make amends for that, whether it's picking up or the roads or something's going on in the park, right? The library needed work to be done. So what we can control here is what we focus on, because we all live here too. The evolution of Fanwood's redevelopment has been going on for over 25 years. And I would ask that you remember that we're talking about one street, which is South Avenue, which is the corridor for Route 28, South Avenue, for where we are talking about where this overlay zone exists. The residential part, Fanwood is still a community of over 90% single-family homes. And our population today is less than the population that it was in 1970. Now, you may not feel it, but when you look back on the census, when we did the, maybe the 70s or the 80s, I don't have the exact number in me because we did this with the master plan of where our housing, our population was. We did it to stimulate private investment, and we did it to revitalize the areas along South Avenue to attract new businesses. And the reason why I believe that Fanwood property values are so high is because we have a nice town that is anchored by good investment. And people have chosen to come here and spend upwards to some $14, $15 million worth of investments. The ordinance allowed us to attract along the South Avenue corridor investment because we did have an affordable housing obligation. We did see the success that we had around Block 64, which is across the street from the train station, and we wanted to spur on interest and investment, which ultimately does help the town's ratables and overall evaluation numbers that we have here. Not everyone that applied for this short-term tax abatement gets it, and not everybody that could get it does it. So we've had 3, I believe, that are in the 3 that.
One's completed.
One's completed. So the first one was the Fanwood Animal Hospital, right? And so that was the first one that we did, and that went over the course of 5 years. And he paid what he paid in his land, and then the improvements graduated up. And maybe the language needed to be a little bit more nuanced that Liz talked about, but the money that comes in gets proportionally distributed back based on the breakup. So the school system gets their 60% of what comes in, the county gets their 20% of what comes in, and then the balance stays here in Fanwood. Why did we do it? Was because we thought at the time that was the right thing to do, and it was because it spurred on the investment. And for those who haven't lived here, you know, I'm here like 25 years, the South Avenue corridor needed help, and it attracted new businesses, And we knew by temporarily reducing and then graduating up over 5 years that we could get the investment that we were looking for, which ultimately helps the bottom line of the tax rateable. It is a policy decision in advancing economic development principles that in the short term, there's a long-term benefit. And so we saw that there was a benefit to doing this. I just want to go back because I want to make sure that I cover some of all of your questions here. I live here too, and I know many of you sitting here in this audience. And I've been proud to be your mayor for as long as I have. And I work for getting up every day to make sure that this is a really nice town. And I know it is because each of us are in here, and we love Fanwood, and we think it's a really nice community. I know that we may not agree on this abatement ordinance, which is going to sunset in 24 months because it will have done ultimately what we set out to do back in 2015, which is why that was important to this council, to take into account the projects that we know are here and going to be possibly taking advantage of it. So I don't know if any other councilperson has a question or a statement before we go to the vote.
I think that
I'm really hot.
I want to express my appreciation for the people who came up and spoke respectfully, whether you agree or you disagree, and the questions you posed, because it is our responsibility to try to answer them as best we can. But, you know, I guess I do want to make it clear, as I have many times sitting up here, and as, you know, the mayor said, that we can agree or disagree, but that doesn't make us liars. It doesn't mean that we're in the pockets of the developers, because we are not. It doesn't mean we're showing any favoritism to the developers, and it certainly does not mean that we do not care about the residents of Fanwood. As Colleen said, we are all paying the high taxes. And I have been here since before the development was in Fanwood. And the middle of town held nothing, no interest for me to take my kids into town, to go out for a coffee, to have a bite to eat, nothing. There was virtually nothing there besides the Hallmark store, realistically, that drew us. What we did in good conscience, we did with good intentions. Again, whether you agree or you disagree, the intention was clear. I am not a paid politician. None of us are, right? We chose to do this to serve this community. So you don't have to agree. And I understand the difficulty of trying to afford the residential taxes in this community. But I also see from this side what it costs to operate this town. And this is a small town. And we have very little revenue base in this town to balance the burden on individual taxpayers. And our goal is to make sure that single-family residents.
There's no calling.
You're going to say yes, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, so we just go to the vote.
So basically, we've just listened for an hour, and now no one on this side would like to listen. Is that what you're saying? Because that's what I'm getting. What I am also getting is that there is a private Facebook where there is a lot of division and hostility that is fueled on a daily basis. And very few people reach out to borough officials to ask questions, with the exception of Gary Morris, who does. However, because there's no respect for the professionals that serve this community, the answers that are provided to him are disregarded as untruths or incorrect. They're incorrect. And so I don't really know what the point is of our professionals answering questions repeatedly when the answers are perceived as lies or untruths. So all I can say is that as a community, we are trying to do the best we can to uphold the agreements that we did make. And I fully, and as well as this whole council, agrees that a tax abatement ordinance is no longer necessary beyond this period. We have done what we've needed to do as a community, but we are also responsible for holding to the agreements that we've made. And again, you can agree or you can disagree, but there is really no call to be disrespectful or to malign us.
So I want to make sure,
And I don't think anyone on this council has done that.
so there's no, I'm going to just, a little point of order here. There's no yelling back and forth, please.
That was an uncontrolled laugh.
Excuse me.
Just to specify.
Okay, all right.
Yes. Yes and no. A lot has been made about the redevelopment. And as I stated at our last meeting, when Liz spoke, that she took me down memory lane. I have lived in Fanwood at various places since I was a teenager. Most of you here are relatively new residents.
No.
I said relatively.
No.
Okay, I'm not,
Okay,
I'm
can
going to,
Mr. Morris, please control yourself.
How does she know?
Give her the respect of
me.
letting her
okay,
speak, please.
so we're not going to be able to continue with the yelling back and forth from the audience to this. So at this point,
You just want to go to a vote?
yeah.
No.
Check. Word.
You don't remember when the area between Martine and 2nd Street, when the buildings collapsed because they needed rehabilitation, and the person who owned them decided not to put any money into the area at all, and the buildings collapsed. You could go into one of those buildings, and I remember very distinctly, one of the owners was in there in the middle of winter with her coat on because there was no heat, and because you could see from the beginning of when you walked in to the end, you could see the draft and why it was drafty. So we certainly needed the rehabilitation, and that's why all of these, thanks to the mayor, all of these obligations were met with the zoning, and literally there, as Erin said, there wasn't anything in town. There was a hardware store, a bakery.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Kathy. One of the questions that I just want to make sure I answered is, what are we receiving in return? And what I would tell you, what you're receiving in return is a tremendous amount of private investment in a small town, in an area that actually is investments into the town, that adds assessments back onto the tax rolls, so that what they were paying prior to any investment, and we needed to stimulate with private investment, and the millions that gets invested in turns out to have a very significant increase that then gets distributed back to the schools, back to the county, and back here to Fanwood. So, but for that, we would not be having as much of the investment that we have had in the past along South Avenue, because the corridor is where the development for this takes place. So I want to thank everyone for coming out, and now we're going to we're going to close the public hearing on Ordinance 2026-06S.
Need a motion.
We need a motion to
closing. Okay.
Yeah, so I have a motion to close.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And now I need a motion to move Ordinance 2026-06S. Motion?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes. Moving on to the consent agenda. Whereas the Borough Council is determined to increase efficiencies, that the consent agenda shall be adopted. Whereas the following resolutions have been previously reviewed by the governing body. They are limited between 151 to 163, and I will read each of them into the record. Resolution 2026-07151 is a resolution authorizing the payment of claims. Resolution 2026-07152 is a resolution authorizing electronic tax sale. Resolution 2026-07153 is a resolution authorizing the professional services contract for the affordable housing agent. Resolution 2026-07154 is a resolution adopting the Affordable Assistance Policy Manual, which goes along with our affordable housing requirements. 2026-07155 is a resolution authorizing a shared service agreement between the Borough of Fanwood and the Township of Scotch Plains for the provision of a chief financial officer and the qualified purchasing agent services. Resolution 2026-07156 is a resolution authorizing the appointment of the temporary CFO. Resolution 2026-07157 is a resolution authorizing borough depositories designated signatories. Resolution 2026-07158 is a resolution appointing a planning board secretary. Resolution 2026-07159 is accepting the bid and awarding the contract for the rehabilitation of the property commonly known as 180 North Martine Avenue in Fanwood pursuant to the Fanwood Home Improvement Program. And this is our obligation that we have for affordable housing, is to provide rehabilitation to homes, and this is an individual that came forward, and we are using our Affordable Housing Trust Fund to rehabilitate the home that met the requirements. Resolution 2026-07160 is a resolution to apply for the Kids Recreation Trust Grant. Resolution 2026-07161 is a resolution requesting permission for the dedication by rider for animal control fees required by the Division of Local Government Services. And Resolution 2026-07162 is a resolution for the duplicate tax sale certificate. May I have a motion?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Under Public Safety, Resolution 2026-07163 is a resolution approving a new member of the Fanwood Fire Department. Last name is Cassidy. We welcome him. On to old business, which also I think is partly of new business, is a discussion on the Forest Road Park tennis pickleball court designs and operation of hours. Under the old business, we know that we have a tennis court at Forest Road Park that needs work. The Recreation Commission has been discussing this for quite a while, and they have been going back and forth as to what ultimately they would like to put there. And what they have decided, and they are bringing it forward to us, is that in that footprint will be 1 tennis court, 2 pickleball courts. And that will be designed by our engineer, and we will move forward using money that we have from grants. So is that the conversation that what you need from us?
Yeah, that's the intent. Just before we have this discussion, Russ, do you want to?
Mayor, on the final vote on the ordinance, we should do a roll call.
Oh, okay. All right.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Council President Jean
Thank
Berry.
you.
Yes. Jeffrey Banks.
Yes.
Anthony Carter.
Affirm.
Erin McElroy Barker.
Yes.
Catherine Mitchell.
Yes.
Tricia Walsh.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, thank you. Under standing committee reports, Council President Gina, do you have anything else you'd like to share?
We just approved a lot of the A&F resolution that we discussed during our A&F meeting. One of the things that I did just want to share is that the borough is in discussion with the school district for shared services agreement with, for the, is it LASSO 2 or LASSO 3? SLEO. For SLEO, which is the resource officer for the LeGrand, new LeGrand school that is opening. So we're in that process of discussing with them and hoping that we can finalize a shared service agreement to have a officer in that school. We did identify an officer that, is ready to be hired once this agreement is finalized, but I just wanted to let the council know that we are working on that agreement, and we're just waiting for the school district to respond to us in terms of the agreement. And we talked about the tennis court. We do have an intern working with the borough, and I know he's been very helpful this past few weeks, working on grant files, saving time with staff, helping staff out with a lot of the work that's being done. Right now, we are in the process of hiring. I think we hired, right?
Hired a planning board secretary.
The planning board secretary to replace Pat Fonks when she retires in September. So we look forward to that new person starting, and I believe she's going to be starting in August and getting some transition time with Pat before her retirement. So that is all I want to report on that. I can go ahead right into the library report, if you like. Sure. Okay. Library, we have a library meeting on Wednesday, I believe, of this week. However, we have had some activities happening at the library that I would like to report out. One of the things is we've been having a lot of HVAC issues at the library. We have had that resolved as of right now. I'm hoping that the fixes have been solidified and we don't have additional issues, but the staff has been trained, DPW staff has been trained as well on how to manage the dashboard to control the system. We also had some electrical panel issues at the library, but since issues have been resolved through the company ARC that has done the work. The team, back to the HVAC, the team did identify 2 companies that we would present to the board library, at the board library meeting, the next one, so we can hire a company to do the services moving forward and manage the HVAC system. External lighting has been replaced. There's those light bulbs and those poles outside the library. Those light bulbs have been replaced. The last week and a half ago, I believe, it was the beginning of this month, we had deep cleaning done at the library, so the library looking really great. They did a 2-day cleaning at the library, scrubbing all of the furniture there. So it's been a lot of activities happening. As everybody know, we are in a search for a new library director, and we're hoping to have one identified and hired as soon as possible. So that's all I have.
Thank you. Thank you. Under public safety?
Yeah. So congratulations again to Captain Krantz. So this is the report for the month of May. Which doesn't make sense, but I don't have June, so I'm going to do May. Well, maybe he meant to say June. Anyway, the department generated 1,357 CAD entries, 43 on average per day. This included the following: 326 building security checks, 201 traffic enforcement details, 10 hazardous conditions, 47 medical calls, and 22 alarms. During the month, 306 vehicles were stopped for traffic violations. A total of 353 summonses were issued, 292 for moving violations, and 61 for parking. Officers attended 14 training classes, and there were, unfortunately, 10 arrests during the month. I'd like to express our gratitude to the police department. We were somewhat understaffed pretty significantly in the month of May, and still they were able to accomplish quite a bit. I would also like to thank the police department, fire, and rescue for their valiant efforts during the storm. As you heard, Captain Krantz came from Hoboken that day, and many members of all the departments, including our volunteer fire department and our volunteer rescue squad, worked for several days to help people during the storm and make sure that our streets were safe and that they got the lights on. So we're very grateful for everything that they did. And I would say that if you are not yet following the Fanwood Fire Department and the Fanwood Police Department on Facebook, I don't know if they have Instagram, I think they do, they actually post a ton of helpful updates on their pages. So that is a place to follow, so you can get regular updates about things, including the storm, which Fanwood also posted them, but they are helpful groups to follow for continued updates on things.
Okay, thank you. Rescue squad?
Okay. The captain's report for June. The Fanwood Rescue Squad was called into service for a total of 11 Fanwood emergency calls for the month of June. And then plus they also aided in a situation in Plainfield. They answered 12 calls. They had 244.5 coverage hours. Second call request was only 1. Average response times were 6 minutes and 50 seconds. Total response hours 190. Oxygen administrations was only 1. They had they had 4 sick people called, 3 for cardiac situations in June. 3 people fell. 1 was one fire. The other thing is they want to put out to the top responder of the month was Adam with 13. Honorable mention, Keela with 12, and Austin with 11. That is the captain's report.
Thank you. Kathy, do you have the fire department?
Yes, I do. I have actually 2 reports from the fire department. One is for the month of June, as submitted by Chief Piccola. They responded to 30 calls, 2 motor vehicle accidents, including 1 rollover with entrapment, 2 structure fires, both in the same day, 5 residential fire alarms, 2 elevator emergencies, 2 electrical hazards with wires and trees down, 2 carbon monoxide alarms, 1 citizen assist, 1 oven fire, 6 commercial fire alarms, 1 grill fire, 3 mutual aids, 1 smoke condition, and 1 special detail, and 1 assisted with the EMS. And then I have a very short report regarding their response over the storm. During the period of July 3rd at 8 a.m. through July 6th, the borough experienced a severe, obvious windstorm, and during that period, the Fanwood Fire Department responded to 37 emergency calls in a 60-hour period. Calls included trees and wires down, trees on homes, structure fires, motor vehicle accidents, carbon monoxide and natural gas alarms, and many other hazardous conditions. And just to put that into perspective, on a normal month, the fire department answers 27 calls, and here in this 4-day period, they answered 37 calls. The majority of calls were assisted by the Chief Frank Dietl and Captain Vinnie Bianco. And of course, the firehouse was staffed with about 12 members. 2 hours after the final storm incident, the Fanwood Fire Department was dispatched to the corner of Poplar and Clement Avenues to rescue 10 ducklings from a storm sewer. The Fanwood Fire Department and the Police Department assisted in the rescue, and all the ducklings were returned to Mama Duck. And that concludes. I just have to say, since we have so many new people in town, new residents, I just want to make it clear that the people on the fire department and the rescue squad are all volunteers, so that as we are sitting home in the comfort of our homes most times, they are out there answering people's requests for service, and they don't get paid. So I just have to give them all a lot of credit. That's all I can say.
Thank you. Under Public Works? Under Public Works?
Thank you. This is the report from Clint Dixon, the Director of Public Works, for June 12th through July 9th. So besides the recurring monthly activities of weekly litter patrols and inspection and maintenance of the sanitary sewer system, setup and takedown of the senior meetings, and the weekly nighttime sweeping, dragging the baseball fields, in early June, we have the summer brush pickup in all the quadrants of the borough. And they prepared LeGrand Park for Fan Jam, the concert and fair, cleaning up of the entire park, installation of event fencing, and removing the tables. They placed barricades along the streets and swept up before and after the event. They provided public works assistance during the event, cleaned the park, removed the fencing, and replaced the tables at the day after. We also had the annual party in the park, and Public Works prepared LeGrand for this really successful party in the park before and after. And then during the storm of July 3rd, the Public Works employees worked, I don't think it's an exaggeration to say almost around the clock for a few days. And they performed traffic control devices in various locations for road closures. They cleared up fallen trees and branches and debris from the roadways. They put out four-way stop signs and generators when intersections were down due to the power failure. And just today we got a note from Adam, the Nature Center caretaker, thanking Public Works very much for their prompt cleanup of the Nature Center, clearing all the downed trees, and so the trails there are open again. The Public Works Department checked the borough shade trees and addressed many as were needed, reported to them by residents. They inspected all the borough-owned properties. They cut and picked up branches that fell from shade trees during the borough, picked up branches and storm debris, Forest Road, Park, and LeGrand. And then they have a special one-time storm brush and branch pickup, all quadrants, July 15th, starting at 7 a.m. Residents were asked to put the debris out by the curb, and they will be picked up. Also, the recycling center will be open on August 1st from 8 a.m. to 11. And so I just want to say thank you very much to the Department of Public Works, to John Picola for helping out, for the Fanwood Police. They all worked together, the borough officials that came in. We had a cooling center set up in Forest Road and also in the Carriage House. Aaron and I visited both of those. Residents were taking advantage of that, and we're very thankful for that. And I think that's it.
Okay, thank you. Under land use and historic preservation, Councilman Carter?
Yes. So I'm going to give the construction report, and later during the comments, I'll take some time and address some of the concerns or questions. So if you want to call Ms. Breakback and let her know I'm going to address it, I will later on, but right now I'm just going to give the report. So this is from the construction department for the month of June. 37 new permits and 2 permit updates. The type of work, 36 alterations, 2 demolitions, and 1 addition. And the technical subcodes addressed: building 13, electrical 24, plumbing 4, fire 4, mechanical 20. The ownership on all of those permits process was private, and the total value of the construction as they listed was $695,676. And as far as our certificates that were issued, there were 29 CAs and 2 COs, 28 alterations, 3 additions, and 1 demolition. And then I have some more update from Mr. Ray Sullivan, who is our municipal land management official and zoning official, and just some from his quarterly report. And I'm quoting and not paraphrasing. There's a significant spike in inquiry on the residential improvement side, trending single-family house demolition and new construction, and many accessories anticipated. The Land Use Office expects to remain steady and considering commercial developments at South Avenue and South Martin Avenue, planning board projects are soon to queue. His forecast, he expects the Land Use Office to see a steady home improvement project requests in near term, such as patios, decks, and porches. We had further conversation after the storm, and he expects to see the spike in generators, right? Fences and decks, those things that were destroyed during the storm. Those know my deck was one of them that was destroyed by a 50-foot tree. Missed the house by a couple of inches. So, a lot of investment in downtown and our economic development. Person Liz spoke about Armand and the Mediterranean Gourmet and Ice Cream Shop, and that's expected to reach the construction department's desk tomorrow. And there were a few applications that were expected before the planning board for generators. Right? Yeah, so, and this was in advance of the storm. They wanted to get in front of it, and they were just a little behind it, so I'm one of those who generator is gonna be before you guys. And that includes the report. Thank you to Lisa for her contribution to the report, our construction department, and also Ray Sullivan, who's our engineer.
Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, thank you. Historic preservation?
Thank you. The Historic Preservation Committee's report for June. They were really happy. They received notification that the Union County AmRev 250 grant was awarded. We have another historical walking tour coming up in the fall. 4 Centuries in a Weekend will also be in the fall, and we will display American flags from the last 250 years. We had a community reading of the Declaration of Independence on July 8th, which was really successful. Thomas Jefferson was there, portrayed by David Bierman, the president of Scotch Plains Fanwood Historical Society. Copies of the Declaration of Independence were handed out. We had 4 readers, 104-year-old Joe Schott, Mayor Colleen Marr, Joan Skubish, the chair of Historical Preservation, and Jonathan Cole from Troop 104. After that, we had a reenactment of the Boston Tea Party on the patio at the library, where children made little boats and tea bags and threw them into the harbor. That was very cute. And thanks to Pat Hoynes for preparing the Declaration of Independence script and obtaining the 4 readers. That was a lot of work for her, so we appreciate that. And that is it for historical preservation.
Okay. We also should mention that we're going to start the restoration on the train station.
Train station.
Right, as you know, at our last meeting, we awarded the contract to a pre-qualified candidate contractor that knows how to do with historic properties. And so we will be stripping down the historic train station. We will be going down to the original base, and we will be painting what we believe is the original colors, which are not too far from the shades that they are today. So it shouldn't be a shocking change, but it'll be a one that I think that we need to do, as well as fixing the shutters and the windows and everything around that. So we will be documenting that because that is, as we say, the jewel of our town. Kathy, is there anything on the green team?
Just a little bit. I think today or sometime this week is the last date for collecting eyeglasses. And also at the last meeting, they're still very interested in composting. So they've done a lot of research, and apparently one of the things that they found out is that the environmental team in Metuchen is working with the school system. So that any of the leftover food from the school system, which apparently would go to waste, is now being recycled. So they have a lot more work to do on this before they. My thought is that they're going to try and work something out with the Fanwood Scotch Plain school system
That's
to
great.
see how that goes.
That's great, and if anybody doesn't follow them on their social media and likes the environment, I would encourage you to, because these are a pretty passionate but small group of residents who are really doing some wonderful things. They truly believe in upcycling, right? So they have collected blue jeans, they have collected bras, and they have recycled them back out to people who need it. And so if you're interested in really joining a great dynamic green team, please reach out. I'm sorry, I missed the Environmental Commission.
It's okay. The report for the Environmental Commission for the month of June. They have been hard at work in the Nature Center. They continue to nurture a new demonstration garden that is a small area that is free of invasive plants and deer, and has also been cleared for new plants, and then they planted at the main entrance on Tarus also. The trails were blocked, but thanks to DPW's hard work, they are not anymore. We wanted to ask the public to be conscious of kids riding motorized bikes in the Nature Center. The police have been notified of this, and recently, unfortunately, a bike jump trail was created in the woods, and obviously that does damage to the trails. So we would really like that to stop if possible. We have the municipal garden beds, and during the month of May, there was a big garden cleanup, all by volunteers. There was an informative video taken, which you can see on the Environmental Commission website. The upcoming projects, Eagle Scouts did have a rain barrel demonstration, and they educated several residents and citizens on how to have sustainable practices and how to build a rain barrel. We had an apple tree planted as part of a grant from the Union County Plant to Seed program. That's next to the carriage house. And the Environmental Commission continues to work with the Green Team on several projects around town. And again, they're all volunteers and work very hard. So if anyone's interested in joining, you are most welcome.
Okay, Councilman Banks, you want to do the planning board and recreation?
Planning board next week. Rec Commission, I want to remind you, tomorrow night, they will be showing Snow White at 8:30 at LeGrand Park. We also had a vote happen on the Rec Commission about operating hours of Forest Road Park. And that would include the new pickleball courts, the tennis courts, skate park will be 8 a.m. to dusk.
Versus
what, nothing now.
That's a recommendation from the commission to come before the council.
Yes.
The request is to amend the ordinance.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
And that'll be it.
Okay. Thank you. Kathy, anything else under health or?
No, they don't. None of them meet during the summer.
Okay, Liz gave her economic development report. I'll just update a couple of our infrastructure projects as we are out doing our summer road reconstruction. We did a shared service with Scotch Plains for the Hetfield Avenue Bridge that was done in one day, in and out. It looks pretty nice. Construction started today on Watson Road, right out here, and Gray Bar Terrace. And then at the end of the month, we will move over to Walden Road and Kite Place. Both of those received over $345,000 respectively for each of those projects. So we'll be busy out there. We'll also be moving forward with the roof at our firehouse, which was part of our bond improvements. And we also will be moving forward with doing our sewer lining work over on Sun Valley Way. Let's see what else we got. I think that's it right now.
I forgot an important announcement.
Yes, go ahead.
Sorry. National Night Out, August 4th. LeGrand Park starts at 5:30 until 8 o'clock. This has grown and become quite a great event. So it's usually a very family fun event. You usually can dunk Sergeant Piccola, and there's free food. It is a free event. There's a DJ, there'll be rides, games, food, raffles, a bounce house, etc. The police officers love to have a big crowd, so please feel free to come to LeGrand on August 4th at 5:30.
Okay, thank you. With that, that is our standing committee reports. I would have a motion to open the meeting to the public.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Please come forward. 5 minutes, no yielding of time. And coming back a second, and please state your name for the address for the record.
Gary Morris, 405 South Avenue. Sorry I got very emotional before, but I want to talk about the pickleball situation. There's a sign now apparently that says 8 o'clock in the morning. I think that's what you're talking about. Pickleball, as you know, is one of the most multi-generational sports. My daughter was there 2 weeks ago. She's home from, actually less than 2 weeks ago. She's home from being a teacher in California. And she called 3 friends to come into Fanwood. That's what you want. You want to spread the beauty of Fanwood to other people. She gets there 7:45. She sees an elderly couple playing pickleball. It's going to be over 100 degrees by noon, okay? That's when you play pickleball. I don't know about you guys. If you ever played it, you can't play in the heat of the day. You would melt. You would melt. So she had the police called on her and had to deal with the police. One of the girls had never had an encounter with a policeman in her life. The policeman was very cool about it. He's like, oh, somebody called, I have to do this. But can we do something rather than shut down pickleball before 8 o'clock? Why not do some mitigation for the sound? Why not put, they have special soundproof tarps you can put around the pickleball courts. Do a mitigation thing. Why take it away from seniors who want to play? And there's also, so you know, and I actually just bought one. I'm trying it out. It doesn't quite work as well as a regular pickleball, but they make them out of foam also. So maybe give the cops like a foam ball to keep in their trunk if somebody complains. Here's a foam ball, rather than take away a game from people. But what I found really interesting was how there was a mitigation. Obviously, that came about from somebody complaining about noise. Let's talk about the noise at the Soho that you imposed on that poor lady next door, okay? Here, raise your hand if you have seen the Soho application for the abatement. Has anybody up here seen the Soho application? Raise your hand if you have not seen the Soho application for the abatement. Raise your hand if you have seen the signed proposed tax agreement with the Soho. Raise your hand if you hate people who ask you to raise your hand in meetings. That speaks volumes right there. So now let me go over to the Soho application because I saw it. They claimed that that was a conversion or alteration of a building or structure to a multiple dwelling. Excuse me, they leveled what was there before. Gone, goodbye. They checked the wrong box. Ask our tax attorney, he'll tell you, you gotta check the right box for it to be legal. They checked the wrong box. Secondly, date of completion. What is the date of completion? The date of completion is the TCO. The TCO was September 30th. They marked on this October 21st. That was done intentionally because if it was September 30th, they would have had to pay up for those last 3 months of the year, regardless of whether the abatement was granted. So that is tax fraud, them not saying the real completion of the building. They were renting that building. I know they were. I know they were. I got the updates from Liz Jeffrey in meetings. They're renting the building in October. Next, it's not signed by our tax assessor. He approved it, marked his name, it is signed by him. He never put a date, which is really, I have a good feeling about these things. I have a gut feel. When somebody doesn't put a date, that's really sus. That's really sus. The other thing that's interesting, there's no received date on this application. When something is a 30-day limit after completion, you need to have that dated. Everybody knows in an office, you stamp it with a date. As far as I know, there's never been a date on this. I asked for it. There's no supporting documents. And this is 100% true here. I Oprah'd all this stuff. They never supplied it, okay? You literally need more documentation to get a dog license than a $1.6 million abatement in our town. Not because the law's not there to require documents. We don't ask for them. We don't enforce the law. Let's enforce the law. Let's get this guy to say why he needs this abatement so bad. He doesn't. And if he didn't get the abatement, how would he pay for this? He would raise the rents, right? So he's artificially able to keep his rents lower in that facility than he would ordinarily be able to do. That's not fair to people who don't have abatements. You're subsidizing rents in our town. Thank you.
Eric Fillon, Scotch Plains. So, yeah. So, I wanted to speak a little more last time, but I just didn't. And one of the things I wanted to mention more about the pilots is that the money you're taking away by not having by having these abatements, you're taking away from the school. Keep in mind, the school has a budget that it needs to operate on, and of course its budget's increased by a multitude of factors. You know, for one, yes, we know insurance premiums are high. School attendance is higher, right? We have more students now that we have more building and apartments. So with a 7% increase for the 26-27 school budget, everyone in Fanwood should expect, remember, it's about 60% is your portion of the pie for your property tax, right? So that 60% of it's going to go up 7%, okay? Which is substantial considering the rate of inflation this past year has been almost half of that, and we're now approaching 7%, almost double inflation. So I know my job didn't pay me 7% more this year, but like if I got 1%. So 7%, put that in perspective, the more abatements, the more pilots that we grant people, somebody's got to carry the burden to pay the budget. It doesn't come out of thin air. So yes, so everybody here in this room, congratulations. You've now become another Prime Bohica example. You can now open up your wallet and pay more money. So with that, I think everybody here on the council, you should give yourselves a little pat on the back for keeping your promise to the developer for an abatement, which obviously never should have been, but you kept your promise to them, which is what you intended to do. And I don't know, Ms. Mayor, I applaud you also. You keep a smile through all this. I don't know how, but the smile is very contagious, but nobody here is smiling the whole time. You smiled with everybody up here as if just, all right, yeah, speak your thing, and that's it. But give yourselves a pat on the back for keeping your promise to the developer. And unfortunately, I think you should all just kind of think about the fact that you did not keep your promise to the residents here that elected you all. So everybody here on video that we heard earlier, you gave your promise. There will be no abatements. So whose promise do you want to keep? The people that elect you, or the people that somehow you're so entrenched to get their investment, which we don't really need? Thank you.
I'm in my council meeting. Call me back in an hour.
Ben Raposa, 107 Willoughby, Fanwood. So I guess just I have a couple questions that I don't believe were answered regarding the abatement. Just why is another abatement needed? And what are we receiving in return? I mean, that's two simple questions that should be able to be answered. And I don't believe we've gotten that answer. And then the second would be, just in general, the redevelopments. I mean, I assume we're looking at traffic, parking, and infrastructure, but are there any analytics provided or available to show that we've done parking studies, infrastructure studies, and such that is available per request?
Sure, so I'll take yours. I'm sorry.
Okay, no, that was pretty much all I had besides
So I'll take your
congratulations,
second
Captain France.
question first, and anytime there's a planning board application, that's part of it. So any major site plan, they do all of those things. They check the infrastructure, they require a traffic study, they have their professionals, so that is on the person who comes before us to do that.
Okay. Then with that being said, if I were to mess up on my application, would I be giving the same grace as these developers are? I mean, I did a renovation, I paid a developer's fee, I followed, above and beyond the guidelines that were, some unnecessary by some measures, but you know what, that's what we had to do, I followed the rules, so that's just, it seems, it's going against the residents, even though you may say it's not, the optics just it doesn't look good on your guys' side, that's all I'm saying.
Sure, so again, we are continuing on with the ordinance that we've had in place for 2015. That's the intent of the council. And then it will sunset in 24 months from now. That is the decision that, I understand, but that's the decision that the governing body has made to continue and finish, I think, what we started, right? Which was to stimulate the private investment, to get people to come in and to revitalize the South Avenue corridor, because that's what we're talking about, is the South Avenue corridor. And we look at what they currently pay, and then we see what the projection is over 5 years based on the assessment of their investment. And in the end, each of the entities that proportionally get their share get a lot of money in the end by the 6th year, and we have the ability to have good investment in this community, which not everyone will agree here tonight, but there is a lot of people that find Fanwood because of the investment of this community, because what it looks like, right? Because it's a thriving town, primarily of single-family homes in beautiful neighborhoods where people generally like to live here. And they like the ability to go and put their money in town, which did not exist before. And so to get to that point, right, you need private investment. And so we stimulated that private investment. We know that we see the end in front of us, which is why we are now sunsetting this in 24 months. So I hope that, and I know I didn't get to all of your questions, so I apologize, but that's the why. And we see that there have been benefits here.
What could you please just give me an example of a benefit too? Because I'm just kind of
Sure.
that's all.
Sure. So, do you like going into the town and walking around and spending money and sitting down and?
Not particularly, no.
So then Fanwood maybe wasn't your community to come to. Maybe you should, right? So.
I mean, I moved here in 2016.
I'll buy him a bagel.
So, no, I mean, I did. But I don't. I'm of the generation where I find my stuff online, right? I mean, I'll go in town and get a bagel and coffee. I mean, I would like to be involved in more in the town, but
there's many opportunities, and we would welcome you to get involved, as you can hear just in the reports, right? Like, there's a ton of stuff that anybody in this room can get involved in to kind of see the inner workings and how the stuff happens here and all of the hard work. So my answers won't necessarily resonate with you because of sort of the position that you're in, that you do e-commerce and you don't necessarily go downtown. So, and that's cool. I mean, because that's what we've been trying to fight against, honestly, because if a town does not have a thriving downtown, your property values aren't going to coincide to that. And I know that the property values in this town are skyrocketing. I see a Cape Cod that goes for $900,000 today on the market. I mean, that's not a accident, you know, because Fanwood is a desirable community. And then I say, well, why is Fanwood a desirable community? Yes, we've got the schools, but yes, we have our parks. But yes, we also have things that people like to do, right? Like, it's always funny, like, you know, people talk about like nightlife. I don't think we have that much nightlife, but, you know, a place like Jessica's, when it spent probably $300,000 to bring that type of restaurant in, would never have done it in a community that they didn't think, right, had a thriving downtown. We never would have gotten it. He would have gone somewhere else. He chose to come here, and I worked really close with that owner of that property for the amount of investment that that property owner had to do, because there was no kitchen, right? So if you look on the outside, you see the flute there. That didn't have, that was on the property owners, because he knew the caliber that if he put the money in, they will come. And so it's almost similar to what I've seen sitting up here in over 20 years, is that we have focused and we have worked, and it has been a labor of love to have public meetings and redevelopment changes and all of the dates that was thrown out before about a redevelopment plan, because it's been a journey. This didn't happen overnight. I mean, I have worked at this since I got involved and actually became the mayor over an argument that was happening in town of what to do with the former Dean Oil site. And if you don't know what the former Dean Oil site is, I would encourage you to go find it. It's on the corner of LeGrand and 2nd, and it was our version basically of a Superfund site, because it had open tar pits around there, and also home heating oil. And they couldn't figure out how to get anything done. So for the last 20 years, there have been public conversations, which many of you in this room probably have not participated in, because that was not where you were at the time they were happening, right? And that's why I've spent the last couple of weeks going back and updating our economic development webpage with pictures, because I think for someone like yourself, you will really appreciate the amount of work that went into it. And I'm just losing track of my words. That incentive that we put in place was done because there was a reason to do it. And tonight, we were going to finish it. We're going to end it in 24 months because the work is done. And it's been a journey. It's been a really long journey.
With that, I appreciate everything you said, and I thank you for that, and I will do some more research.
Yeah. Well, call me. You don't have to come here and just talk to me.
Yeah, I know. I just,
I know.
It's a thing. Okay, well, I appreciate that, so thank you very much.
Thank you, okay.
Phyllis Mahoney, 70 Pleasant Avenue. First, I'd like to say I was born and raised in Fanwood. My parents lived here. I'm in that house now, so
like
I know a lot
Kathy.
about the area. Want to talk about Forest Road Park. My backyard is essentially Forest Road Park, especially the existing tennis courts. I was here in 2024 for the meeting when I thought we had a great plan for the park and the tennis courts. We were going to tear them down, make it a grass area. And I thought that was a done deal, and then I found out that, no, that's not the case, that Apparently, the ground is contaminated under the courts, and it must remain covered. And at a recent rec commission, I found out the town knew about this since 2016, which causes concern because it's in such a deplorable condition with grass growing up through the cracks and water and mosquitoes breeding there. So now I find out there's a new plan. So I just want to say I strongly agree with redoing the tennis courts, but to have 2 tennis courts, not additional pickleball courts. We already have 2 pickleball courts. 2 tennis courts would balance out. You know, it's not a big area of a park. And the tennis courts are 100 feet from my backyard, so, which now presents noise ordinance issues. From the Fanwood's Municipal Code, excessive sound is a serious hazard to the public health, welfare, safety, and the quality of life. A substantial body of science and technology exists by which excessive sound may be substantially abated, and the people of the borough have the right to and should be ensured of an environment free from excessive sound. It is the policy for the borough to prevent excessive sound that may jeopardize the health, welfare, or safety of the citizens or degrade their quality of life, which in my opinion, having to listen to that impact sound of a pickleball all day constantly would definitely degrade my quality of life. We can already hear the pickleball courts that are there because there is no sound mitigation facing our property. And while it's not loud enough to be a noise violation, it does ruin the, trying to enjoy your yard when you hear that noise. And definitely I do not open my windows on those nice days when it's breezy and you want to freshen up your house. There's data that shows that the impact of the pickleball being hit averages 70 decibels at 100 feet. It's called, I forgot now what it's called. But anyway, that would be in violation of our daytime noise limits of 65 decibels. So there would definitely be a noise ordinance issue. Another concern is the people who play early in the morning and after dusk when the park is supposed to be closed, despite new signs on the existing pickleball courts saying play is restricted to the hours of 8 a.m. to dusk. In regards to the police being called, we were at a rec commission meeting. We were told that people don't call, we never know about these issues. So their recommendation was, if there are people there at not an appropriate time, we should call the police. So that's what we've been doing. So between June 21st and just last Tuesday, I believe, there have been 8 calls that I have kept track of that either my neighbors or I have made. And that's a constant problem in that park. There's kids there at night. There's people there all hours of the night walking dogs with flashlights, and it's, I don't know how that could be fixed, but I also don't need to have people come in like the pickleball courts. Let's say they are put behind my house. You have existing pickleball courts. Somebody comes at 7 in the morning to play pickleball. All the courts are empty. Now, are they going to choose the pickleball courts that are farther from my house? Or are they going to come to the courts that would be put behind my house at 7 in the morning? That means now I have to get up, call the police, and try to get back to sleep. We made a suggestion that maybe you have someone lock and unlock the courts, but we were told that that is not feasible. It just seems like more responsibility should be taken when proposing changes like this instead of putting it on the citizens. I pay way too much in taxes, as we've heard, to be the keeper of the park, and to have to keep calling every time there's a violation. And pickleball is an unusual noise. It's not like a baseball game, kids are playing 2 hours, they're gone, or like that constant pop is nerve grating. And putting up signs, they just put up signs.
Mahoney, your time is up.
So that's okay. What's your address?
70 Pleasant Avenue. I invite you all to come to my backyard.
I'll follow up with you.
Seriously, because
I'll come over.
I don't know. Have people, the rec commission, do you come through? And
I'm on the rec commission. We have talked about, if you may, we have talked about time locks. that will open at a certain 8 a.m. and they will close at dusk, because they do have that, there's such a thing. I like Mr. Morris's idea about maybe there is some sound deadening material that we could put up. There are options that we can still explore.
Because trees don't cut it. When I walk down Woodland Avenue, which is the other side of the park, and even though there are all the trees, you can still hear the pickleball being played. It's not really loud.
So if you want to give your phone number over to Courtney, and I can follow up with you.
And then just maybe another good idea, if you could maybe hire an independent noise, they have these engineering firms, maybe someone to do a study to maybe let you know what the noise level is going to be if you do put pickleball courts in there.
Thank you.
And, we love the park, and I love that you have all these recreational facilities for everyone, but we are a 1 square mile town. We've got 2 pickleball courts. We have courts all over the place, so the demand isn't even really there anymore like it used to be, as far as people used to wait, for the courts to open. Tonight, before I came, there was 1 pickleball court being used and 1 tennis court being used. So maybe put a volleyball court in for the
Yes.
the big team we got.
Thank you,
Okay.
thank you very
so
much. Appreciate it.
Hello, good evening. Florian Elias. I also live Pleasant Avenue, and I also would like to comment on the tennis pickleball discussion, because I live just behind the Forest Road Parks. So I was very pleased to hear that the surface, like the tennis court, will be resurfaced, because it cannot be used at the moment. There's a lot of drainage issues, as you all know. So I'm happy that this will be fixed as well, the drainage issues. But I was very surprised to add 2 more pickleball courts, because honestly speaking, the two pickleball courts that already are there, that is sufficient. So there is no waiting time. So if you go there at any time of the day, there's basically no waiting time. But for tennis courts, because in our area, lots of tennis courts have been converted into pickleballs recently, it's becoming more difficult to find tennis courts. So that's why I believe the 2 dedicated tennis courts would be a better option. And furthermore, in my opinion, the Forest Road Walk is very nice, because all the activities, all the sport activities can be done there. So it's a nice variety of sports.
Yeah.
So why adding now 4 pickleball courts there? Just keep the 2 pickleball courts, add 2 dedicated tennis courts, and then it's a nice balance. I also would like to address the noise topic, which my previous speaker highlighted, and also during the recreation meeting. So I have been also there vocal, but I don't know if there will be a vote today,
No.
but please consider this, my view here. Because the noise concerns, they have been really downplayed in this Recreation Commission meeting. It was compared to a garbage truck or showing the movies in La Grande during the summer. But let's face it, this comparison is really flawed. Pickleball is played, we heard it earlier, also operation, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. So that's 12 hours. And just to sensibilize you and what kind of noise it makes, I have a quick recording, which is like 4 pickleball courts. I'll just play it for 15 seconds. So that's only 15 seconds. I don't know how many hits there were, but it's really a lot.
Right.
So this is this persistent and relentless noise when the ball hits the racket. So with the suggested design that I was seeing in this recreation meeting, the playground, which is nicely done, is in the middle of those 2 pickleball courts. So just imagine this noise. Not only for the neighbors, but also for all the residents that will be using this park. And the 100 feet distance has already been mentioned, so it will be very close to our backyards. And this noise ordinance has been already mentioned, so I would ask you to check that.
Sure.
And what else? So yeah, please measure it with the noise control officer in a 100 feet distance, what kind of noise level it is, not to exceed the maximum. And I also want to point out that there are multiple cases where towns invested in pickleball courts, but they had to be demolished because they were too close to residential areas. So I believe let's make it really smart here, not invest money, tax money, and then in the end we need to demolish it because it's too loud and too close to residential areas. So in summary, I'd suggest to reevaluate first if additional pickleball courts are really needed, considering that numerous pickleball courts have been installed in the area recently, and if there's real demand, find a more suitable location for pickleball courts, not too close to residential area to comply with this noise ordinance. And then secondly, I asked the council to consider the proposal to simply restore the 2 dedicated tennis courts. This option would generate significantly less noise while enhancing the variety of sporting opportunities in the Forest Road Park. Thank you.
Can you just tell me your address again? I missed it.
Pleasant Avenue.
Which number?
18.
18? Oh, thank you. Sorry. Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, anybody else?
Good evening, Mayor, ladies and gentlemen of the council. Bruce Patterson, 170 Belvedere Avenue.
One more time.
And 325 Willow Avenue, Garwood. Dual citizenship, of course. No, but anyway, my wife and I actually want to thank the borough for offering the carriage house as a cooling center. You know, the power went out on the 3rd. We made it through the night, surprisingly. I guess we had to pretend we were like 10 years old again. But anyway, it came to the 4th. I mean, it was around 2 o'clock, and we couldn't take it anymore. So we went to the carriage house, called the police. You know, we got in. Yeah, there was nobody there from 2 o'clock to 6 o'clock. It was very pleasant. She read the book, I read the newspapers, you know. And the police actually, every 2 hours, they came in and checked on us. So that was great of them also, just make sure we were all right. But Miss Walsh, you know, mentioned that she was checking the 2 cooling stations. I was just wondering if she could say how many other people were actually using the cooling stations, because, as I'll tell you, that we were there and maybe 6 o'clock 2 other people showed, but I mean, it's a great program, but you know,
I
to me.
think at Forest Road, Aaron and I, when we were there, were 4 people.
Yeah, but the day that we were there
You were
was
Sunday.
just after, like, just under 1,000 homes had been restored,
Yeah.
where there were only about, there were about 340 houses, I think, left when we were there.
Right.
So we really couldn't tell you how many people, I think
I was
Colleen
there on
actually
Saturday.
there on the
Saturday
major
was-
day.
Yeah, I was there on Saturday when we really were hit hard, and the fact that we could have 2 cooling stations opened, I think, was really a great for us. And I was very surprised how many people showed up at Forest Road Park to come and basically charge all their devices, and I was in and out of there. So we probably had 12 to 14 people, you know, at a clip at that point. I had to keep on putting up more tables and more chairs and, yeah, around the room next to the outlets.
Yeah, North Avenue actually had power a lot better than the south side of Fanwood.
Well,
You know, that was interesting. But anyway, so
Yeah.
but thank you very much
You're
for
welcome.
offering that. It was great. You know, and just to continue on the Soho thing, you know, it's not often the government gets to do a do-over. You know, I did mention 2 other items, but you know, you voted on it. Okay, it's done. But it's, you know, you had to you had the chance to do it over again for the public's interests. Water under the bridge. Yeah, I talked about traffic. I talked about every 1,500 feet is a high-density development. I mean, the sad part is we are now faced with round 4. I'm sure you placed the appropriate affordable housing in different properties. The trick that we're finding that this traffic that we're encountering is because normally the application takes to construction and occupancy is about 3 or 4 years, and the traffic testimony, that's what gets me. You know, they always say, well, it's only 3 or 4 cars during rush hour, it's minimal impact. But the sad part is all these high-density applications are going more or less on the same time. So each one has like so many cars, but one application does not impact the testimony of the next application since it's not under construction.
Yeah.
So here we are, all of a sudden, boom, we get a lot of traffic. It's like death by 1,000 cuts. It's unfortunate. I mean, the unfortunate problem is that traffic, even though the streets are 100% capacity, the intersections are rated D and F like in schools, failing, the traffic actually doesn't, somewhere in the law, it talks about the traffic doesn't impact the application process at all. Now, that's what's amazing, and that's why we're faced with all this stuff. Just a couple of questions. Acuity, you gave a contract to Acuity. I was just wondering who was before Acuity, because you had a couple of high-density projects already ongoing at that point. The post office parking, when the new the investors building, when the new restaurant or whatever it is opening up, I mean, what about the post office parking? You know, how's that going to work? I mean, it's already like kind of tight there.
So just real quick, so we'll just answer that real quick, right? So this is private property. You know, the previous owners owned the post office, and then they owned that big lot. New owners come in. New owners have a right to create whatever leases they have with their tenants. And so there is an ongoing discussion going on with the tenant, which is the post office, and the new owner regarding parking, because there was no defined parking arrangement, as I understand it, with the previous owner. And so the new owner I guess is right to for liability reasons, trying to figure this out, and it's between, you know, two private parties. We're fully aware of it, and I've spoken to all parties, but we don't really have.
Is there going to be a resolution? That's just it. I mean, I do agree with 100% what you're saying.
It'll be through a lease. They're negotiating the lease.
The post office?
Yeah, there's a lease that's involved.
Great. A question that wasn't answered, and maybe you know or don't know, but anyway, I was talking about the land taxes on the high density with the pilot. You know, it's tax assessed as normal taxation, but then I asked, is it in the financial agreement where it rolls over and it gets deducted from the next year's pilot revenue?
Your time is up.
I can get you that answer. I mean, off the top of my head, I would have to get you that answer.
Do I have extra time because people were answering my question? It took some time there.
I paused it.
She paused it.
Well, thank you for pausing it. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Michael Lewis, 41 Beach Avenue in Fanwood. Off topic. Just a quick reminder, e-bike regulations are coming into effect as of July 19th, I believe.
Yes.
And you'll find additional information, I think, on the Fanwood Police Department website that's coming into effect, so for the general public. That's it. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Lewis. And enforcement has begun, so please, if you have children with e-bikes, make sure you read the laws, because a lot has changed. And it is posted on the Fanwood Police Department site.
Hello again, John Payne, South Martin Avenue, 105 South Martin Avenue. About the overdevelopment, that she had said before about how the buildings were crumbling and they needed to be repaired and brought back to life as it is now. When you overdevelop now, and the abatements end, and the rents inevitably go up, and I don't know, the stock market's in turmoil. Yeah, not turmoil. The stock market's going where it needs to go, but with AI and the war in Iran and whatever else is going on in the world, when the boom stops, that's how. When those two buildings were built that were crumbling, they were built for purpose. That could, my concern is at some point that's going to happen again, because nobody's going to be able to afford $4,000 a month apartments, $900,000 cottages. Your house tripled in value the last 25 years. Mine's doubled in the last 3. So, it's, is that fool's gold, or is it actually, sustainable value? I mean, they say the market's not a bubble, but we only know what's going to happen.
Right.
Your house normally is your biggest investment.
Of course, but it's only good for me if I'm going to.
So let me answer that for you. So
absolutely.
So a couple things I would say in mind. What was there before looks nothing, was nothing, built like what's there. And we basically had light industrial, if you go back. So that's really what the South Avenue corridor was, which is why we're putting up a lot of pictures over the next couple months, and I encourage people to go and to see what was really there. And it took probably 40 or 50 years before any new building had been built in this town, right? So that just took almost half a century to kind of get to where we were. These buildings are built well, right? I'm not going to say, what I think of them versus what you think, like that's, it's in the eye of the beholder, so to speak. But it's just a very different construction. It's a very different use. The whole corridor is completely different. Where Helen Ling was a one-story warehouse that never had a straight floor in it, right? Like you had to go down, like literally, not a straight line, It was the Florida fruit stand for people who kind of remember what was there. So it's very, very different. And to your point about if I could look into the future with the stock market and everything, Little Fanwood is just Little Fanwood.
But my concern would be the Soho 2. I mean, there was some grumbling about the post office maybe. It looks like something's moving in, which is good.
So we're not Fanwood is not immune to the same things that any community in the suburbs is immune for, right? Like, so we talk about the South Avenue corridor, we talk about the development, we talk about the traffic. A lot of that is a direct outgrowth to the affordable housing requirements. And the fact that the state, for the last 30 years, has really pushed and targeted what they call transit-oriented development. South Avenue is along the Raritan Valley line. So all you have to do...
That's where I should be going about. I understand
right.
that.
But
I said it before.
But if you follow the line, right?
I was hoping you guys would get...
From Highbridge, right, from Highbridge all the way into Union, it is the same thing. And every community has basically been, told to develop around your train station, right? Do shared shared parking on top of affordable housing requirements, where the state does not give communities any other way to truly meet the needs of the numbers that they give us. And inclusionary development is really where it is. And it was 15%, and now it's 20%. Right? They don't give the tax credits to the point that they should, I think, to do pure affordable, right? And then people will may be upset that they're pure affordable. But it's all a evolution, and what's happening in Fanwood is happening in Westfield, is happening in Raritan, is happening in Somerville, it's happening in Highbridge, and, it's just that we're not in a unique situation, and we're doing the best that we can over the last 20 years to stimulate the private investment in a corridor that I always said that if you got onto the Raritan Valley train line 25 years ago and you drove along and you looked out the windows, you would not see a downtown in Fanwood. You would not see, other than the train station, let's put that off to the side, but you wouldn't see that turn-of-the-century building like you would see in Westfield or Plainfield, right? You just wouldn't see it because there's nothing there. True. It was just absolutely nothing was there. The train tracks came across South Avenue, and it was just a big open space of whether it was tar pits to do the telephone poles, whether it was Dean Oil, whether it was manufacturing, nuts and bolts from Livingston, Wilbur, right? Whether it was properties, that remember the Internet Cafe, I do, like right there, like what was going on there, right? People were saying, so and it was the focus that we needed better. And we needed something that our community, we could put people downtown and the world wouldn't end, right? That you could put density downtown, which would then help a Jessica's, right? Or it would help a coffee shop. I mean, he came here, invested in a coffee shop because he knows that he did his demographics.
Of course, yeah.
You know what I mean?
And apartments were going in across the street.
But it all keeps it going. It's all churning, with the... Well, we do the best. Listen, I
know.
I understand.
We're all hoping.
Yeah, but I thank you for coming.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. That was a sigh. Anybody else? Okay. All right.
hopefully we can wrap this up, right? Bud Lab and South Avenue. So some things, like I said, off topic. One of the things I just wanted to plant the seed for the shade tree folks. I appreciate the work you're doing. I think one of the things that hopefully the lesson we learned from 383 is that with the other developments that are not yet been applied for, I would assume, over there on Old South, I don't know the address, 107, 109 on South Avenue there, where they're starting to clear some stuff out, that we make sure that we don't have a repeat where because I'm hearing rumors, once again, I know they're rumors, so I'm not asking you to confirm or deny, but that we're hearing that there's people or businesses or developers who own those 3 sets of properties that are in the back there that go back up against the train tracks.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Which one's
What's the address over there?
Next to the Board of Ed building, I think.
Yeah, next to the Board of Ed building.
Oh, the Board of Ed building.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I apologize. I didn't know the address. So
okay.
yeah, so I know that there's that one house that was in the back that had been
Yeah,
dilapidated.
that's one property.
That's one property, and I was told there might be, I guess, the Board of Ed property next to the Board of Ed property, and there might be a third one. Whatever the case is, I know there's some open stuff back there, whether it's the same developer or not. I'm just saying is I just want to make sure that people are staying ahead of the game with this tree situation, because we don't want to repeat of what happened at 383, because there's a lot of trees back there.
Yes.
So that was the one thing I wanted to say.
Yes, duly noted.
Thank you. Second thing, once again, as the guy said earlier, props out to all the fire department, the volunteers, the police department, everything. It was kind of mentioned a few meetings ago that Union County EMS covers us during the day for our BLS.
Yes.
So I mean, I know it's not really public knowledge, and I'd like to definitely chat with somebody about it as being in the field. I'd like to know where we're going with that going forward, because there are 2 bills that are out there, 1008, Assembly 1008 and Senate 1421, which are trying to make BLS, which is the Volunteer Rescue Squad here, and Union County EMS, an essential service, which is currently not in the state of New Jersey. I don't know who knows that or doesn't know that.
Yeah, I think, so it's how they get treated, like dispatchers, I think, too, are in there.
Well, no, what it is that currently in the state of New Jersey, the township is required to provide the police department and the fire department.
Yeah, not the rescue.
Not the squad.
Right.
Which is what's called basic life support. So
Yeah.
as somebody who works in the field, I kind of know a little bit about it. So that's my point, is that this is something that's coming down the line.
Sure.
That I'd like to hear more, and it could be sidebar, whatever.
Sure, no, I
later on.
encourage
But
that.
I'd like to hear that, because the county's not doing it for free. I don't know what we're paying for them to be here 12 hours a day. I don't know if they're charging.
We don't pay
I just don't want any
anything.
misrepresentation, because everybody.
No,
The
he's
county?
talking about the
Oh,
county.
no, not the county.
Right, the
Yeah.
county who's here 12 hours a day now is not volunteer. So
No,
when
we
they
we
send
don't
it
get
out-
charged.
We don't get charged
No.
as the town?
Nope.
We don't get charged as somebody who calls?
Nope.
You call them, okay.
They go through your insurance, and if your insurance, if they move you, right?
Right.
And if the insurance doesn't cover it, they don't pursue it.
Okay, so they're not balance billing? Okay.
Yes, that's correct. That was the term.
All right, okay, so, and like I said, I think it's just something that coming down the line, this hopefully will pass, because all the towns should be providing BLS, because
Yeah,
we all want
it just
somebody to
gets
answer
harder.
that call. Been doing it for 40-something years, various places,
Oh.
and I do know that when you call 911, you want somebody to come. It's great that the police officer saved a woman's life, and EMS was here from the county close by and did that. It's great. I'm sure the paramedics were involved at some point.
Yes.
The only other thing I'd like to say is once again, I know it's beating a dead horse because you guys voted on I just wanted to know is when you came with the 24 months going forward on the ordinance, is there anyone else besides Soho that you guys are anticipating is getting an abatement that's on the table, that you guys chose 24 months and not 12 months? Is there something else?
Well, we see that there's certain projects that are in the ground.
Okay. So there are other people who are potentially eligible for
yeah.
it, and that's why you picked 24 months. Okay, fair enough. And I guess the last thing, 2 things. Property values, yes, they're great that they're up, and I know you mention that every time we all complain a little bit about stuff in our taxes, but that's literally what it is. As the gentleman said, my property value is up, but it does me no good. It's a unrealized gain until I sell my house. And the other problem is that my taxes go up because now my property value is up. So is that really, is that one of the gets that, hey, great, we're building this all up and your property value is going up, but now so is your taxes. So, and like I said, whether or not, if you put businesses downtown, that's great that I can shop there, but that's not making me That's not saving me money. I'm
Listen,
gonna spend
until
it
the
somewhere.
state of New Jersey can come up with a different way to fund public education,
Yeah.
Versus
Which we love
on the backs of the homeowners, regardless of their ability to pay.
And we love that we would love that the people who owe the taxes pay the taxes and the schools get their share. I think that was said as well. So
Thank you.
That's all. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Okay. Anybody else? Okay, so with that, I'd like a motion to close the public portion of our meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that actually ends our official business of the night. I personally want to thank everyone for coming out, for those who stayed, and through our 3 opportunities to talk to the public. I don't know if there's any council comments to wrap up.
Yes. And we're already
25.
10:25. So I'll promise not to keep us here until 11:25. I didn't actually take a call earlier. Sometimes I'm a clown. I was clowning. And that's more of how I'm known than the bombastic nature that I had in one of our last council meetings. So I'm known around the town, many people on Coach Carter. So I go to the school for graduation, and they invited me to come don my Columbia University robe and sit up on stage and hand out some diplomas and that sort of stuff. And it was fantastic. There were a bunch of young men and women who I remember having from 3rd grade, 2nd grade, and now they're actually graduating, seeing them around the town, them seeing me and us around town. And one of them said to me, "Man, Coach, you were pretty loud in that last meeting," right? So they know I can be loud when I'm coaching. Like, that's the kind of thing. So for them, if any of them or anyone took the comments, the tone of them as being disrespectful in any way, then I'll apologize with 1,000 tongues. Right? So, if you notice me, I'm always taking notes. Like, I'm a note guy. I cut down a lot of trees. I guess I'm always taking notes. And in my time on planning board, for those of you who know, I'm 9+ years on council, I believe, and somewhere around that. And up until last year, I served on planning board. All of our positions are volunteer. You can say we get paid $1. None of us ever cashed a $1 check. So we're all volunteers up here also. And I found my notes, some of my notes from Soho. And a bunch of the stuff was over it. So if you look at some video, you'll see me pounding away at the developer. Because what I would do up until last year, whether you were putting a small driveway in or an addition on your house or some kind of development, either they would call me, come take a look at this, or I would take it upon myself to go and survey the property, not survey engineering wise, but survey the property myself. So having gone in the neighborhood of the Soho, I heard a bunch of the things that the residents spoke about that may have been detrimental to their positive living environment. Could we absolutely stop the Soho from building? I don't know if we could have or not. Those things are for a different time. But what I was able to do is pound away at them. And on simple notes, there was a resident who said, when they turn on their lights from the parking lot, those trees aren't high enough and they're spaced too far. And I remember saying to them, we're going to need you to do this. And they said, okay. What, they put a higher something there, was something to minimize when that car turned on their headlights, it didn't shine in that person's driveway. or in that person's house, right? So those are the things that I know I personally did on planning board. When developers come to planning board, I take them at their word, right? So if I go and I play the recording, so when it first came out, the recording came out, and the page came out, and it had a picture of me on there. It wasn't a bad picture. It had the video of me talking, and Mr. Morris had already said 2 or 3 times in council meeting, Carter, you said there would be no tax abatement. Well, you put up a recording that doesn't substantiate that. That's not what it says. It does not say there will be no tax abatement. Carter, you said there would be no tax abatement. That is not what your recording says. I can rewind it if I want to waste your time. We've been here long enough, but you can pull it up yourself later. What it specifically and clearly states is, at the time of that application coming before us and me, which was in 2020, the entire process, I believe, started in January, and I believe that was from the December meeting. I was on planning board. That was a planning board meeting. And what I stated was, at the time of that application, there was no talk about tax abatement. Tax abatement doesn't happen in council. That part of it, that's state mandate. Now, all this sunshine and all this stuff, we had to do ministerial stuff. I'm not even going to talk about that. That's for the attorneys. But we're not the decision makers on who applies. So I had this whole reply set that I was going to reply to it and talk about it. And I said, you know what? Enough people know that I'm not going to stand in front of them and lie. If I even said at that time that there was no abatement, then I would have stood on it. Hey, that's what I said at the time. I would have stood on it. They said, does it appear to you that the video's chopped up? Is that your voice? That's no big deal. Whatever's there is there. Is it AI? Whatever's there is there. Because what it does not say is they would receive no tax abatement. And you disrespected me by saying on more than one occasion, Councilman Carter said there would be no tax abatement. And then Ms. Brink posted it. I commend you for being an advocate in the community. You and I have been together. You call me out. You call me out for 383. You call me out for Fanwood Crossing. We talk about some things. I go back to our building department. I go back to different people. I got on the phone and called the building department. You were under the impression that they were starting construction. Remember? On 383? Remember, Mr. Morris?
Oh, yeah.
Right? So I got on the phone and I called our construction department with you there. And we talked it through. And there was nothing illegal or nefarious happening. But you came to me, I met you there, and we had the conversation about it.
Mm-hmm.
The same thing when you talked about South Avenue, with the Fanwood Crossing, with the uneven pavement and all the sort of things, and a bunch of other things. I get on the phone, I make the call. That's what I do for all of us. That's what we do for all of us. What's the mayor saying right now? Oh, I'll come to your house on Pleasant and I'll stop by and we'll have some coffee. We'll listen to the sound together. Like, that is just what we do. So,
Grab your tape measure and we'll go to Soho. You name
Right.
the time and I'll
Right.
walk through there
So-
with you and I'll show
so-
you everything I found.
so the contention, this is not meant to be contentious.
This is not contentious. I want your advocacy and let's do it.
Personally, I'm okay if you have something to say, right? But from a professional standpoint and running the meeting, it's not what's supposed to happen, right? So
You're addressing me so I can respond.
right, exactly, and I agree. You know me. I don't have.
I know you know me.
I don't
It's
have
not a
any
big
issue.
deal.
I don't have any
Take the
issue.
tape measure and let's go.
I don't have any issue with that. So the next thing, we had the storm, July 3rd. My power comes back on July 5th. Same time last year, by the way. I looked at my notes from PSC&G. Big tree comes down, smashes the back of the house. I say, you know what? It's not about giving out a free cup of Ritas. Because everybody can afford their own $2 or $3, I believe. Maybe, maybe not. Most people can afford the $2, $3 and buy their own Rita if they want it. But what I said was, there's probably people who have a little tension. Some probably can't get their devices charged the way they want. I set up a little charging table there. And some just want to have someone to talk to. So I'm not going to show people's pictures, but if you want to come up and you can see, there were all walks of life who came by. And they had conversations. And some of the conversations, I asked them, I want to know how you feel about the town and what I can do different. I didn't have one to read a shirt, I have my councilman card shirt. And what I can do different. Some talked about the e-bikes and safety. Guess what? July 19th. Some talked about the tennis courts. Guess what? We're addressing it. Some talked about the new LeGrand School. We're addressing it. Some talked about funding public education. We don't have control of that. But what we had was, we don't have full control. What we had was a lot of neighborly conversation. And there were some people who said to me, I may not agree with everything that goes on, but we're able to have this sort of dialogue. We don't believe, but everyone is entitled to what they're entitled to. So, thank you for coming out. Thank you, everyone. I'm going to say it's great. For me, the meetings don't have to end in 15 minutes. It's great, because then I'll see you at the bagel shop, and we'll continue the conversation. Maybe not you. But I do bagel shop, I do dry cleaning, I do Chinese food, like I do all those things.
You saying I don't eat bagels?
No, my partner behind you. I do all those things. And I go in not with a skull face cover. I go in and I'm laughing and I'm smiling and we talk about things. This is our neighborhood. This is our community. And what I would hope, I don't control anybody's thoughts or feelings. What I would hope is that we don't walk out of here with any kind of real animus. Right? It could be some disagreement if you want. We're all adults. You don't need me to say you're entitled to think the way you want. You don't need me to say that. But I'm certainly not going to be that person. I'm not going to see you out and say, I can't believe you said that about me. You misstated, you told a fib. Right? But I'm not going to, when I see you, I'm not going to say, hey, gee, remember that? If you want me to come, I'll come somewhere with you later. It's fine. That's for all of us here. I'm no saint, not going to do everything right, but these people who sit up here, my colleagues, I can tell you with my colleagues up here, they care about what they're doing, and we do.
Okay.
We do some things.
Thank you, Anthony.
Good things.
Thank you, Anthony. We done? I think we're done. I think we're done at 10:30.
On second thought. And furthermore.
So with that, I want to thank everyone for coming out. And with that, I'd like to have a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting. It's a little after 10:30 p.m. All in favor? Aye. Good night and be safe.
7 minutes. By the way, no.